Yeah, good evening and welcome everyone. May I request all of you to please switch on your videos, and I request my team to keep on taking screenshots. Sangeeta Agarwal is writing not accepting. What not accepting? Okay. Shrutika and Gayatri, make the provision where all of them can put their videos on. And request Professor Bakshi also. Sir have joined or not? Let me just check out. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, good evening and welcome, sir. Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can you unmute, sir? Hi, Sujan. Welcome.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody.
You can, okay, now we have checked. Fine. So, I think with your permission, sir, let me just start the proceedings and let me share my screen for that.
You have still 1 minute.
I have 1 minute, but I thought let me just start because they'll keep on coming and because today's session, we are having the session and no inaugural, but still there are some important things which I'll like to share with my colleagues.
Sure.
Yeah. So I hope my screen is visible and I am audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So good evening and namaskar to each and everyone, all my fellow colleagues from our lovely, different parts of our lovely country. And I welcome you in this 2 weeks NEP orientation and sensitization program, but it will be equivalent to a 1 week program, and that is being worked out. So it is spreaded across 2 weeks starting from today, 9th to 18th January 2024. First of all, I will like to wish you each one a happy new year. Our first program in this new year 2024. I welcome you on behalf of UGC Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center at STTB Khalsa College, University of Delhi, also known as GAD-MMTTC. As many of you are already aware, formerly we were known as Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center. I also welcome you on behalf of University Grants Commission and Ministry of Education. And in this new program, which is under the ambit of Malviya Mission Teacher Training Program. At our center, we are seeking from blessings from Guru Angad Dev Ji, the second of the 10 Sikh Gurus. So I welcome you on behalf of Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, its management, its principal, and University of Delhi, because we are constituent college of University of Delhi. This scheme has been named in the honor of Bharat Ratna Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya ji. So, taking their blessings also further. So, this program is Malviya Mission Teacher Training Program. And I welcome each one of you who have joined, maybe administrators, as teachers, research scholars, and other participants from all over India. Before we proceed further, let me also share that we have in our core team the guidance and blessings of Professor Ved Prakash sir, former chairman, University Grants Commission, who will be joining in the second session. We also have esteemed guidance from Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, is founder VC PDM University Bahadurgarh, former VC UP RTOU Allahabad, and former Executive Director Tertiary Education Commission Mauritius. Welcome sir, he will be taking our first session. And we also have Professor Jaswinder Singh, who is former principal HTTP Khalsa College, University of Delhi in our team, and Professor Surinder Kaur, who is the acting principal of HTTP Khalsa College, University of Delhi. So I welcome each one of you on our core team's behalf as well. I have a distinguished organizing team who will be helping in this national endeavor. We have Professor Sarita Pasi from Zakir Hussain Delhi College, Professor Sujan Varghese from St. John's College, Agra, Professor Anuja Chauhan from AIU, Dr. Babita Kola from Zakir Hussain Delhi College, Dr. Kiran Bala from SL Bawa DAV College, Batala, Dr. Shruti Gupta from Zakir Hussain Delhi College, and Dr. Anuba Sethi again from Zakir Hussain Delhi College. And here I am, your host, Vimal Rar, and I'm a chemistry faculty. And I'm also happy to share that not only we are conducting these training programs, I'm also the member of expert committee of formulating the guidelines for all the 111 MMTTC center to implement this scheme throughout the country, mainly how the NEP can be implemented in each and every university and college and other institutions. So once again, I welcome each one of you in this NEP orientation and sensitization program. And let us take the blessings of the God before we move further. GAD-TLC, as it was earlier known, and now we are UGC-MMTTC. We also will be called as GAD-MMTTC. We have state-of-art infrastructure, and very soon we'll be starting our offline programs as well. So we have fully equipped training lab and even studios for preparing the teachers into e-content development front and other technology tools, which is our expert area. And I'll also like to share with maybe many of you are joining for the very first time of our program, that we have successfully completed this e-PG Pathshala e-content development project for the postgraduate level. And all of you can refer to this content. It's not only the PG level, it also helps the UG level students. In your own domains, you can check. These 6 subjects we have completed from our center, but there are total 77 subjects. So all of you can benefit from this particular website, which is on InflipNet, and inflipnet.ac.in is the URL which you can visit. Our team has also completed 89 courses development in this e-PG Pathshala, out of which 42 MOOCs were developed and they were uploaded on SWAYAM portal. And I'm happy to share that our team has developed more than 50 MOOCs for the SWAYAM portal in various areas, including the courses like Cancer Fundamentals, which all of you, this is ongoing and you can join. We also have a unique content development methodology and tool. This is called as Teachers E-Kit. And this has been conceptualized by myself, where in my session, I'll be talking to you that how, as a group of teachers, if you want to create the e-content in 4-quadrant format, and which is also useful for getting 5 API per module, in a very structured way, and it will also help you how you can improve upon your own classroom delivery as a teacher. Since April 2020, we have started online because this GAD-TLC was given to us in 2016. Since then, we have been doing offline programs. But due to Corona pandemic, we started the online. And I'm happy to share that it has been an exponential increase in the reach of our programs to nook and corner of our country. And from 2016 to 2020, you can see the statistics, more than 9,000 participants were there, but from April 2020 onwards, more than 78,000. So more than 85,000 teachers we have touched upon till now, and the number is ever increasing. I'm thankful to all those who have participated in our programs. We also have prepared the ARPIT course, which is annual refresher program in teaching for chemistry. We are the National Resource Center of Chemistry, and in these 3 years, now this program is not continued because now so many programs are happening in the online mode. But this was more a structured program, and my chemistry colleagues must be knowing that teachers we have reached as enrollments, the quality of our program was rated as amongst the best by the ministry and AICT. So with this background, our team has expertise, and our team is we all teachers, and you all are our strength in terms of you get trained, and those who want to come further, they can help us in organizing committee, they can be resource person, they can conduct collaborative events with us. So we always identify what is it that you want to improve your skills as a teacher in our professional capacity building, and then we take the help of resource persons and we bring that to you. GAD-TLC out of 99 centers was selected as 45 centers were selected, and they were awarded as Malviya Mission centers to conduct these NEP trainings for 15 lakh higher education teacher. And henceforth, we are now renamed as let me also apprise you, because we should be now knowing human resource development centers or the academic staff colleges, which are the prior nomenclature. Now, there are 67 of them that, along with the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme, under which we were the 99 centers, out of them 45 have been selected. So total now there are 111 centers, which all will be called as Malviya Mission Teacher Training Centers. And this new nomenclature will be introducing the new phase of the teachers training, which aims to implement the recommendations of NEP, namely to improve the quality of teaching at all levels and in all domains, to focus on equity and inclusion in higher education and promote online and digital education, ensure equitable use of technology, promote Indian language and culture, develop basic infrastructure facilities, create awareness about gender sensitization, include vocational education in the curriculum, develop leadership and management skills, create pool of mentors and pedagogic experts, promote research and multidisciplinary education, to name a few. So the vision is to build competencies in the faculty for better teaching, learning, and research by exposing them to Indian values, updating knowledge and skills, and aligning teaching, learning, and research with the needs of society and NEP 2020. So this vision, it states all, and that's how you'll see that different training programs will be conducted now under this new banner. And the scheme was launched on 5th September 2023 by the Honorable Minister of Education, Dharmendra Pradhan ji, at Kaushal Bhavan. Now, coming to this NEP orientation, and so these 111 centers to begin with, they will be conducting NEP orientation and sensitization program, 2 programs every month. but at least minimum one from every center, and it will be spread it across 8 days. In 2 weeks, it will be only in online mode. Apart from that, there will be faculty induction program. There will be FDPs or the short-term program. There will also be the refresher program and other workshops and webinars that we have been given mandate to conduct. This NEP training, there will be 8 modules, and we have given these titles that module 1 will be holistic and multidisciplinary education. So please, you can take a screenshot, or otherwise my team will be sharing this also, and we will be giving you all these recorded sessions. But please keep on taking notes, because I'll be telling you why that is going to be very important. So these modules from 1 to 4, we will make one quiz, and module 5 to 8, there will be another quiz. So there will be 2 online tests in the form of quizzes having multiple choice question. The live sessions, as it was also told in the poster, will be on 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Then Saturday, Sunday will be off. 15, 16, 17, 18. Friday again off. Saturday, Sunday, which happens to be 20 and 21st January, there will not be any live session, but you will be supposed to attempt the quizzes. So the 2 quizzes will be available to you from 10 a.m. 20th January till 11 p.m. on 21st January. So ample time, and all these recorded sessions will also be available. So this is the detail how the completion will require. One is attendance and participation. So please, we will be looking at all the modes. My team is capturing your videos. There will be both Zoom as well as LMS. Attendance will be taken, and then that will be also graded along with the marks. And there's a photo ID submission, which I'll be telling you in detail after, maybe not tomorrow, but day after tomorrow. Then the 2 quizzes, as I told you, each will be of 40 marks, and overall the qualifying marks are 50. No grades will be mentioned on this program, a certificate, but then you have to be getting total 50. 50 doesn't mean that you will be only doing one quiz and attendance. All the 3 parameters are required. Otherwise, even if you're getting more than 50, it will not be considered for the giving of the certificate. And now the ministry and UGC are even more strict, because from this batch onwards, the participation has been made free. So we have been told to keep strict parameters for the completion. And so please, you should join this live session with the videos, unless or until there is some urgency. Please do so with videos. Every day there will be feedback given, and this feedback is compulsory to be fixed. So there will be day-wise feedback. For every session, we will be asking you 3 takeaways. So please make a note of them. Keep a paper pencil with you. What are the 3 takeaways you think? And there will be overall feedback. So all the links will be shared in WhatsApp as well as on the My Class Learning Management System, which will be giving you access in a day or 2. So this template of the certificate is as given to us by UGC, and no certificate will be provided if all the parameters are not successfully completed, and we have full authority to decide whether the certificate will be given or not given. One disclaimer which I would like to give before we invite Professor Bakshi to be delivering his first session. There are 8 modules, as I told you, so there will be 2 sessions of each module. So they need not be on the same day. It may happen that they are on the same day, but we'll do it as per the speaker's availability. So the copyright of the session is of respective speakers. It is not even of our center. So without a prior written consent of the respective speaker, you should not use or upload them. I have seen many of they'll keep on taking screenshot and then put it on some slide share or all. Please do not do that. It is the copyright of theirs, and without their permission, you cannot share the videos. The links we will be providing you so that you can access it, but all that has to be shared further only with our and the speaker's permission. You cannot do any publication out of the content coming from the speaker session. And the recorded videos of this program will be available on Learning Management System for the participants to refer for self-study and quiz till the completion. So that's why we are sharing that, but it is not giving us right to use that content for further publication in a. So with this background, I once again welcome each one of you in this NEP sensitization and orientation program, the January A batch, because we'll be soon conducting the January B batch starting from 19 January, but the seats of it are already full. By the time we go further, I'll be also sharing you the links for the next so that your other colleagues can join in our upcoming batches. So the first session we are going to start is on the module 4, which is higher education and society. And here we have distinguished and eminent academician, stalwart in higher education, I'll say, is Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, founder VC, Indian University, Bahadurgarh, former VC, UPRTU, Allahabad, and former executive director of Tertiary Education Commission, Mauritius. Very briefly, I would like to introduce, although he doesn't need any introduction, he's a renowned academician and a former Sir Shankar Lal Professor of Chemistry in the University of Delhi. He has also been head Department of Chemistry, Director of CPDHE, Director of Institute of Lifelong Learning of Delhi University, and he has been visiting professor at many universities, including Guru Gobind Singh IP University. Professor Bakshi has been chairman of GAD-TLC and member of Standing Committee of National Education Mission on Education through ICT of Government of India. He was also the chairman of the Content Advisory Committee for Chemistry for Sakshat portal of the MHRD. A double gold medalist, record breaker, and recipient of several awards and academic honors, Professor Bakshi was felicitated 2 times for his outstanding contribution to the education by former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir. Professor Bakshi is the author or co-author of nearly 200 research and education articles, 1 patent, and many e-books, the modules in 4-quadrant format, from the EPG Pathshala and ARPIT programs of ministry. Professor Bakshi is one of the most sought after speakers in the country, having delivered more than 400 invited talks during the last 4 years on the different aspects of education at various national and international platforms. It's not only the higher education, he has a wide exposure in the school education as well. He has been a member of National Writing Team for Chemistry 11th and 12th books of NCERT. Professor Bakshi was elected as the president of section of Chemical Sciences for the Indian Science Congress Association for the year 2011-12. He has also been a member of various committees of national and international importance. Professor Bakshi was also recently felicitated by the Union Minister Smriti Zubin Irani for his outstanding contribution as chairman GAD-TLC in the professional developments of teacher in the country. He is also one of the first person, this is I think something unique in our academic world, that he is one of the first person from universities in India to have been selected as member scientist of 3rd Indian research expedition to Antarctica. And this expedition built India's permanent base, Dakshin Gangotri, in India. So with these words, I once again welcome you, Professor Bakshi sir, and we are looking forward to a very motivating session, I will say, to start with as our first session. So over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Vimal, for your very kind words of introduction. And good evening to one and all. It's indeed a great pleasure and a privilege to have this opportunity to deliver this talk to all of you. And I'm very happy that the response to this program has been tremendous. I think within the first 2 to 3 days of the launch of this program, all the seats were full. So that also shows the image which our center enjoys in the country. And the credit goes to the entire team. Now in this talk, which is going to be the first talk of this program, I shall be speaking on the challenges which are there before teachers in higher education. Because, all these programs ultimately aim at one thing, and that is empowerment of the teachers. So that you get empowered and then you in turn empower your students. So whatsoever we want to achieve in education reaches to the level of the learners. So keeping all those things in mind, this talk has been planned. And now before I start my talk, let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible and I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Please,
Thank you
proceed.
very much. So you can see the title of my talk. It is in the light of NEP 2020, Empowering Teachers for Challenges in Higher Education in India in the 21st Century. So I will talk about various challenges. And you will agree that these challenges provide unique opportunities to you. So that's basically what this talk is going to aim at. This is going to be a motivational talk for all of you, aiming at empowering you so that you can succeed and thrive in the 21st century. And believe you me, it can prove to be a game changer for you. Because this entire talk will prepare you for success in your profession as well as life. Because profession cannot be taken or treated in isolation. It's a part of your overall life. And this talk is based on my conceptualization and experience. The basic thinking behind the talk is, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So that's basically it is aiming at, and it will focus on preparing you for life. This talk is in 3 parts. In part first, or A, I will just very briefly introduce what basically we are aiming at. First thing which I would like to tell you is that since we are talking in terms of national education policy, what is the spirit behind the national education policy? Basically, it is dealing with education. But you have to keep one thing in mind. Education is relevant and of quality only when it is able to serve the needs of the changing society. Otherwise, education has no meaning. So this is the real cementing force. And in the 21st century, world is changing very, very fast. Society is changing very, very fast. And it is mainly because of technological advancements. So education has to be therefore relevant in the light of all these developments. And this national education policy will propose various reforms in school and higher education, including technical education, that are suited to 21st century needs. So it's aligned with the needs of the 21st century. Now, this NEP 2020 is a document. It is a visionary document which expresses the aspirations of the nation and which aims at making India a global knowledge superpower. When I talk about global knowledge superpower, we should become superpower not only in dissemination of knowledge, but also in creation of knowledge. That means research, because that will ultimately govern the entire society. And then it also aims at making India a global study destination. We should have world-class institutions so that people from all over the world aspire to come to India and study here. That's what this document aims at. And this NEP 2020 proposes to achieve all this by making school and higher education more holistic, flexible, and multidisciplinary. These three things are very important: holistic, multidisciplinary, and flexible. And there are 5 pillars of this policy on which this entire policy is based. One is access. It should reach to more people. Then quality. Then equity. Education should be with equity. Then affordability also. And then accountability. So these are the 5 pillars. Holistic, when I say, it means the overall development of the human beings: physical, emotional, mental, and social. And when I talk about equity, you can see on the right side, it means you have to be fair, not equality as it is on the left side. Why I am focusing on empowerment of the teachers? Because, the quality of an education system can never exceed the quality of its teachers. Therefore, if you want to raise the quality of an education system, you must raise the competence level of the teachers. You must raise their own quality. And this entire program basically aims at that aspects. And once you are empowered, you in turn will empower the students. So in a way, we are doing all this to support student learning. And you will all agree that our greatest natural resource is the minds of our children who come to us. India is one of the youngest nations of the world. 50% population less than 25 years. 65% population less than 35 years. So it's a big demographic dividend. And the need is that we ready these young people for the future challenges. And to a great extent, please remember, the responsibility rests with you, the teachers. Students may be 25% of our population, but then they are 100% of our future. So we have to keep that always in our mind, and it is a big responsibility on our shoulders. You can very well imagine, because a child miseducated is a child lost. So we cannot afford to lose even a single child. This thing you have to keep it in mind, then you will be very careful. So this was just a brief, introduction, which I would say, and then I will come to the traditional roles of a teacher in higher education. See, if you look at the roles of a teacher, these are mainly the 3 major roles: to disseminate knowledge, that means teaching, learning you do; then create knowledge, that is research and guiding research; and then academic administration and management. And a teacher is expected to excel in all the 3 roles. Now, my own experience says that if you want to become an outstanding teacher or a researcher, you should have a very sound and deep knowledge in your discipline. You should be very good in the practical work. Practical skills should be there. You should have clarity of concepts. And then your teaching should reflect the amount of thinking you have done on the subject. All this is very easily said, but very difficult to have it in practice. You should have the passion to become an outstanding teacher. So all this is required. And if you want to be an outstanding researcher, you need to be an out-of-box thinker. You need to have an analytical mind. And you need to be innovative and creative. And then these 4 C's: curiosity, creativity, courage, and commitment. All these are must for a researcher. All this is in one slide, But getting all these quality takes years and years. You cannot become an out-of-box thinker overnight. It should be the habit which should be nurtured from, young age, from school days, I would say. And then for teacher as well as for researcher, you should have excellent communication and presentation skills. These are a must, because these will help you in making an impact. Every day you face a class. Why can't you make an impact every day in the classroom through your communication and presentation skills blended with the knowledge? Because no one will really take the pains to listen to your ideas until and unless your communication is effective and impressive. And then presentation, how you present your ideas. For a teacher, it is a must. There are so many teachers who are full of knowledge, but then they cannot present their ideas in a very systematic and logical manner. So as a teacher, then they are not very successful, because the way you speak, that manifests the way you think. So it has to be along those lines. And please remember, all the great speakers were bad speakers at first. You make efforts and then there will be no looking back. So this was part A, which I have shared with you. Now I come to the challenges in the 21st century. That is in the part B. See, first, the challenge which I could see was the challenges of the present information age. We are living in an information age where getting any information is just possible by a click of a button. But this age has some challenges, because this is an age of uncertainty with respect to jobs. There is a future of jobs report published by the World Economic Forum, ultimately which says is that we are not sure where our students will be employed tomorrow. Those jobs may not be even existing at present. That's the basically meaning of this. So this is a big problem. That way, this is the age of uncertainty with respect to jobs. Because, job landscape is changing very, very fast in the world. Again, because of technological advancements. Because there is a shift in the division of labor between humans and machines. You can see these 97 million new types of jobs will be created, and 85 million old jobs will disappear. That is the change which we are going to expect in the job landscape. So you can see how things are changing. Then secondly, this is also an age of mass education. Every institution, every country is trying to increase the gross enrollment ratio. So this is an age where more and more students over the next 30 years will graduate than since the beginning of the recorded history. So more and more students are coming out of the universities and colleges, but traditional jobs are becoming less and less. But takers are going to be many, so that will create a tough competition. This is another problem. And third is that this is an age of artificial intelligence. This is an age where artificial intelligence will equal the intelligence of the students by the time they finish their formal education. So if I can have machines with the same intelligence as you, then why do I need you? That could be the question in future. So this is going to be a big problem in the times to come. And all these types of jobs are going to be in danger because of artificial intelligence, automation, or robotics. Which jobs? Those which are of repetitive or predictable nature, which require no critical thinking, no critical analysis, no research base, no specialization. All those jobs over the years will be taken over by them. So this is going to be a big challenge. Now, even it is said that this is the picture of the brain, because according to artificial intelligence models, anything that can be measured by numbers can be solved by artificial intelligence models. And therefore, humans may not be required in future for the so-called left brain functions. Look at the left side: logic, analytical thinking, numbers. So these all will be done by artificial intelligence. So the focus in future has to be on right brain functions like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, etc. These are the things which are going to be in demand. And now, as you all know, even generative artificial intelligence is coming, which is also a type of artificial intelligence, which can generate various types of content, which include text, images, audio, or video clips. And these are going to bring a big revolution in various fields. That is called generative AI. See, the message is that everybody's job is not going to be the same anymore. It is going to change. So you have to be mentally prepared for that. So having said all this, the message is that challenge is going to be for a teacher as to what to teach and how to teach, so that our students are successful in a future that looks so uncertain. So that's the message. You have to keep it in mind. Second challenge in the 21st century, which we are going to face, is of sustainable development goals. This is a big challenge in the world. See, sustainable development is the burning issue in the world at present. Mahatma Gandhi once said, we must care about the world which we will not see, which we will not live to see. So that's basically the meaning of sustainable development. It's basically an economic development which can be maintained for a very long time, keeping in view the interest of the future generations. We have to live keeping those things in mind, that we have a responsibility towards the future generations. Why there is so much concern about sustainable development? And why there is a need for the education system to address to these concerns? You can see these are the 5 major concerns. Population explosion. Already world's population is 8 billion. By 2050, it's going to be 9.7 billion. So population explosion means so much pressure on all the resources. There is going to be a fast depletion of resources, including food, minerals, and other natural resources. Then water scarcity is going to be a big problem in future. FAO report says that by 2025, 1.8 billion people will face acute water scarcity. Then the problem of environmental degradation. Everybody knows how our environment is degrading. And then climate change. You already see climate is changing. Rising sea levels, temperature is rising like that. So these are the concerns for sustainable development. That is why, in 2015, United Nations, 193 countries of the United Nations, including India, they signed this United Nations Agenda 2030, where they gave 17 sustainable development goals which need to be achieved by 2030. So India is a signatory. India has to do that. United Nations gave the 17 goal, but no roadmap. Why? Because no single roadmap can be given. World is full of diversity, and the nature of the problem varies from region to region. So you cannot give a single solution. What may be a problem in India may not be a problem in UK. And these are the 17 goals you can see. And goal 4 is quality education. So these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And when these goals came, our Prime Minister Modi said that much of India's development agenda is mirrored in the Sustainable Development Goals. So almost all policies of Indian government are somehow aligned with these goals because it is a commitment. Even G20, which happened recently, it is also working with keeping in mind this agenda for sustainable development. So you can very well see, and then I said, this is the quality education, sustainable development goal number 4 is quality education. And what is this goal? Ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. So inclusive, equitable, quality education, lifelong learning promotion. So these are the main objectives of quality education goal, which is the Sustainable Development Goal 4. And why I am telling you all this? Please remember, most of you will be knowing, but many may not be knowing that the various provisions of NEP 2020 are basically based on Sustainable Development Goal 4. So this new education policy, which came in 2020, these goals came in 2015. So this policy is aligned with that. This is something you have to keep it in mind. So that is why, our policy is also aligned in such a way that we ultimately are able to fulfill those goals. The third challenge, first challenge which I told you was of information age, artificial intelligence. Second was of sustainable development. Third is the learning needs of the 21st century. See, it is said in the 21st century, if you want to excel, you need at least 2 things. One is the rigorous academic content. You should be very good in the subject. And then 21st century skills. These 2 taken together will help you in getting deeper learning. So this is a must if you want to be successful. Now the question comes, what are these 21st century skills? See, 21st century skills are a set of abilities which we all must have if we want to be successful in this age. They come under 3 categories, as you can see: learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. Under learning skills, we have critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, 4 C's. Under literacy skills, we have information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy, IMT. And then life skills, flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. So taken together, there are 12 21st century skills which have been agreed upon that everyone should have. Why they have suddenly become so important? Because artificial intelligence cannot replicate them. You cannot have machines with these skills. You can't have a machine which is critically thinking or which is having leadership qualities, so on. So these are going to be useful. And anybody, for example, you are a teacher. If you have these skills, they will elevate your performance in your teaching. They will put you on a higher, pedestal. So, and these skills we should also try to develop in our students. Critical thinking. We should not only know the meaning, it should be developed in them. So this is very, very important. Skills are becoming very, very important. And therefore, please remember, quality education in the 21st century, which is now a part of our new education policy, is along these 3 lines. Look at this. This is the most important slide. You should have the knowledge, your disciplinary knowledge, interdisciplinary, and practical knowledge. That is 1. Then 21st century skills, which I said, which are common. But then you should also have domain-specific skills. You are in physics, some skills related to that, in chemistry, like that. Then third is very important, values, attitudes, traits. That means your overall personality. Please remember, you see, when we were students, nobody taught us all these things. Always the focus was more on knowledge. But now knowledge, skills, and personality, that means values, these are very important. And these three things taken together constitute the competence of an individual. That is why, institutions are striving to have conducive learning environment. They're trying to have adequate infrastructure so that these three things can be achieved. In Delhi University, we have now various skill enhancement courses. We also have value-added courses, basically to strengthen second and third point, so that your competence is there. And if one of these three is weak, it will affect your job performance. Please remember, this is a very important point. I remember, long back, I'll come to that. And these skills are becoming important. And that is why, some of these leading companies are now looking beyond academics. They are recruiting people without degrees, provided they have the skill set. The rules of the game are changing. They test for these skills. They have some, test by which they've come to know whether you have or not. Degrees are not becoming that important. So skills, values, everything is now becoming more important. In IAS examination, there is a personality test, what we call as an interview. They test your values, attitude. They come to know. And I remember long back, Supreme Court also mentioned, because, one thing you should be very clear, ultimate goal of education is these 3 points: to produce good human being. When I say good means in terms of values, then a responsible citizen, and then a competent professional. And competence, as I said just now, comes from knowledge, skills, and personality. I remember long back, these observations were made by the Supreme Court of India in 2013, before this policy came. What Supreme Court said was that today's education has failed to reform human behavior. Although there is an increase in literacy, but there is a decline in human values. Hence, there is a need to transform education system. This is a very well documented observations of the Supreme Court of India. And before 2020, the earlier education policy came in 1986. After 1986, we are having now in 2020. So in between, in 2013, these observations came. That is why all this has been incorporated. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the message is that you need to acquire competence for excellence in any profession through quality education. That summarizes the ultimate goal of quality education. So this slide is very good. Knowledge, skills, personality. We sometimes talk about outcome-based education. Outcome-based education is nothing else. Outcome will be ultimately of these 3 things, combination of these 3 things, knowledge, skills, and personality. Because you learn only these 3 things, there is nothing beyond that. So outcomes will also be ultimately a mixture of these. And these are important for everybody. Another challenge which I think which is important, you have to keep it in mind, is that we need to have creative and innovative minds in India. See, I personally feel there is a crisis of innovation and creativity in Indian education system. Look at the fact. No Indian scientist working in India has been able to get a Nobel Prize since 1930, when C.V. Raman got it in physics for the discovery of Raman effect. After that, no Indian scientist working in India has been able to get it. In chemistry, nobody has ever got it. These people did get Nobel Prize, but then they were non-resident Indians. Even Amritya Sen, he is an Indian, but for years he has been staying abroad. Even Abhijit Banerjee is an American citizen. So, but please remember one thing, Nobel Prize is not a lifetime achievement award. It is for a breakthrough which brings about a total change in the society. And for this, you need, amongst others, you need enormous amount of creativity and open-mindedness. This is a must. You need willingness to collaborate. We are taught since childhood to become competitive. Once you look at every other person as a competitor, then it becomes very difficult to collaborate with them. Mindset becomes like that. And then perseverance and resilience. These are the things which you need. But are we able to cultivate these things in our students, our learners? And that is why, none of our universities are in the top world rankings. Look at this. And one of the main reasons for the poor world ranking of our higher educational institutions is poor quality of our research programs. And sometimes, it is felt that the best students do not come to research. In science, for example, from where I come, after 12th, best student will either go to engineering or they will go to medicine. Very few people will come to pure sciences. And out of them, very few will come to research. And there was a report recently in Times of India. Look at this. Science students are preferring to go for civil services, IAS. Between 2017 to 2021, in these years, over 76% candidates who were recommended for All India Civil Services, they were from science stream, covering engineering, sciences, and medicine. Only 23.6% were from humanities. And this was informed in Rajya Sabha only. So why do we lack in quality research? See, you are also a teacher, I am also a teacher. Why we are not able to make a mark? If you analyze ourselves, it has to be linked with our education system. So there is something fundamental flaw in our education system. Our education system is outdated and does not encourage thinking, innovation, and creativity amongst the students. This is a very serious drawback. And please remember, without creativity, there can be no progress. And we would be forever repeating the same pattern. See, just look at the thing. Whatsoever you teach, that has been discovered or invented by somebody. It started with some idea. It started with creativity. If there is no creativity, you will be repeating the same thing again and again. That is why, we are not able to excel in research. And that's why in the new education policy, they are creating National Research Foundation, which will be an apex body, because they want to foster a strong research culture and build research capacity in the country. But my personal submission is, you need to strengthen your teaching learning if you want to excel in research. I have personally worked with a Nobel laureate in Japan, in Germany. I have seen very closely how those people work. Ultimately, foundations come from that. Overnight, you cannot become a good researcher. So these are the things which can help you in funding and all that and awards. But you have to improve at the grassroots level. And this National Research Foundation will have 4 divisions: science, technology, social sciences, arts, and humanities. And its budget for the next 5 years has been 50,000 crores and all that. So you can understand the importance of teaching learning in our education system. Therefore, now the question comes, and this is a challenge which I am putting to all of you, because all of us are teachers. We go to classroom and so many students listen to our talks. We need to enhance the quality of higher education imparted in India. And in education, three things are very important. What do we teach? That is the curriculum. Then how do we teach? That is the pedagogy. And then how do we assess our students? That is assessment. Unfortunately, we have outdated and heavy syllabi. Methods of teaching are teacher-centric. Examination-driven learning is there. And if I may say, this is about our education system. We have 21st century students. But the content which we teach sometimes, that is of the 19th century. Methods of teaching, assessment methods, courses, architecture, they are all of the 20th century. And somebody even remarked the other day that our mindset is also of the 19th century. We have not changed much. That is why, I said in one of the slides, education is relevant only when it is able to serve the needs of the changing society. We have not changed much. Now look at curriculum, for example. Curriculum is the total learning experience. And the biggest challenge in curriculum now comes to all of us. The knowledge. Knowledge in all disciplines is growing very fast. So fast that the doubling time of the growth of knowledge has shrunk considerably. Shelf life of knowledge is becoming shorter day by day. There was a time when human knowledge was doubling in 150 years. Now this knowledge is doubling in almost 73 days. So you can very well imagine how soon our knowledge is getting outdated. And what we know in any discipline is merely a drop. And what we do not know is an ocean. So please keep these things in mind. That is why the new education policy says we should have light syllabi, but modern syllabi. Core essentials should be there. When we talk about life, we give more time to the students for thinking, because education is not the learning of the facts. It is the training of the mind to think. So this is what is required. Because our outdated syllabi, if you look at any syllabi, generally, if I look at in my own chemistry syllabi, some of the things are very outdated. And these outdated syllabi increase the gap between what is learned and what should be learned. And this also affects the quality of research. One of the main reasons if we have not been able to become leaders in some fields and are merely followers is this outdated syllabi. Then there is also a lack of coordination between school and higher education. Professor C.N. Rao, Bharat Ratna, he said that 90% of the universities in India have outdated curriculum. And teachers have to take initiative. Even if you have not been taught those topics, you should embrace them, because for the sake of future generations, we need to have a skill-based and industry-led curriculum. I told you how the job landscape is changing. Because the world is slowly shifting towards skill-based economy, where emphasis is going to be on practical knowledge and hands-on experience. And then teachers also need to be trained. Sometimes teachers also teach skills in the same way as they teach knowledge. Please remember, knowledge is theoretical. Knowledge is knowledge. You know something. Skill is practical. You have a different method of teaching them. And now, in the new education policy, multidisciplinary approach is coming. This is going to be a big change again. The new education policy aims at bringing about a multidisciplinary approach in education, first in schools and then in colleges. Now, you may ask the question, what is this multidisciplinary approach? The thinking is that the real world problems are complex and they require knowledge of several different disciplines for their solution. For example, climate change is a problem. You cannot solve the problem of climate change just by the knowledge of one subject. You need expertise in climatology, political science, economic, green technology, sociology, etc. So every aspect is covered, and then you will be able to solve the problem. And recently, you must have seen draft national curriculum framework for schools has come. And the biggest change which is occurring is that earlier we used to have science, commerce, and humanities streams. Now those will be replaced by curricular areas. So curricular areas will replace everything. And for example, for 11th and 12th, there are going to be 8 curricular areas. These include humanities, which include languages, mathematics and computing, vocational education, physical education, arts, all that. Each curricular area will have many disciplines, and each discipline will then have many choice-based courses. You can choose any one. For example, if you look at the science curricular area, in science curricular area, there are 3 disciplines: physics, chemistry, biology. You can see on the right side. And in physics, there are some papers. In chemistry, you can choose. There are some conditions which you can look at and do. And the biggest thing which is happening, you can see on the left side, in the same curricular area, physical education is also one curricular area. Vocational education is also one curricular area. So all are treated at par. This is a big, big change. Earlier, vocational education was considered sometimes to be inferior. No, now all are the same. So the biggest advantage of multidisciplinary education is that it will allow a student to gain a deeper understanding of the subject through the lens of different disciplines. But the question is whether the student at that age will have that wisdom, which courses to choose, which one to choose. That may be a big question mark. The second point in education is pedagogy. Pedagogy is art and science of teaching. How do you teach? Still, in our Indian universities, we teach by talk and chalk method, which is a teacher-centric approach, mainly a monologue. You cannot explain many concepts on the board. It presumes all students learn in identical fashion, which is wrong. Some may be slow learners, some may be fast learners. Then you can't solve many problems in the class. Then it is slow and time consuming. And we have very large classroom. It becomes very difficult to teach in a real sense. And then the focus of this talk and chalk method is on examination, rote learning, and scoring high marks. That is the focus in our education system. This is the reality. Nobody wants to learn the concepts. This is in every discipline. Everybody wants to score 90+ marks. Irony of our country is that the focus is on well-filled mind, but what we need is a well-formed mind. We keep on filling the minds of the young people with more and more knowledge. Now we are in a different age. You can get any information just by a click of a button. Why to focus on that? Focus more on thinking, innovation, creativity. Real education is that which transforms the learners, just as a seed gets transformed to plant and plant to tree, like that. And please remember, quality research also comes, as I said, strong foundation for quality research are laid during teaching learning. Because through teaching learning, you have an in-depth understanding of the topics, interconnection of the topics, and clarity of concept. This is very essential for research. Because, this is the man-made compartmentalization. This is physics, this is chemistry, this is mathematics. Science is a systematic study of reality. We have divided that reality into various compartments for our own sake. So holistic understanding one needs. Interconnection we need to understand. So the biggest problem now is that we should keep it in mind that learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of the activity of the learners. So learners will learn more if they are engaged in activities. So that should be the aim of teaching. And that is the thinking behind learner-centric education, which is very much advocated in the new education policy. Because students learn best when they are engrossed in the topic, motivated to seek out new knowledge and skills, because they need that in order to solve the problems at hand. And all this is possible in this information age. Experiential learning, for example, is a learner-centric education. And what is the basis of experiential learning? I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. So doing will have a bigger impact. That is why in the new education policy, fostering experiential learning and critical thinking among students is an important objective. But this should be done from school education onwards. And look at the retention rate of experiential learning, 75%, whereas the retention rate of a lecture is just 5%. Because when you do with your hands, you have a full experience, you will never forget. And in learner-centric education, there can be many methods. It can be problem-based learning, project-based learning, case studies, inquiry-based learning, flipped classroom, then collaborative learning, TPS strategy, think, pair, and share, community outreach, travel, internship, UG research programs. All these are under learner-centric education. That's why the focus is on all that. As a matter of fact, all these need a separate lecture in itself. But I am giving you the various challenges and overview of the challenges, because I am covering the entire education system, which you will get an overview of. For example, this flipped classroom model is becoming very popular. Here, a teacher is to create a video lecture on any topic. You share it with the students. Students watch the video lecture at home. Then they will prepare questions for the teacher. And then in the school or college, teacher will facilitate discussion, answer students' questions. Students will ask questions. They will participate in learning activities. All students will be involved. So this has a bigger impact. So what I mean to say is that we need to shift from teacher-centric pedagogy to learner-centric education. And in the learner-centric education, the roles of the learners is going to change. Now they are no longer passive learners. They will be now active, highly independent, and creative thinkers. That is what is required. And this should not be done at higher education. Actually, all this should be done from school level so that it becomes their habits to learn but through activities. Look at these, some of the leading universities of the world, Harvard, Stanford, Wharton. They focus more on case studies, experiential learning, project-based, problem-based learning, collaborative learning, very little focus on lecture-based learning. So this is clear. If you teach today's students as you taught yesterday, you are going to rob them of tomorrow. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, my message is that you must change with the changing times. Many of you must have done their post-graduation, maybe 10 years, 15 years back or earlier. You might not have been taught in this way, but then you will have to change. That is the need of the hour. This was my article in Education Times of the Times of India, Creativity Crisis in the Indian Education System. This was my article in Flipped Classroom in Education Times. Third is assessment. This is very important. Even the new education policy says we need to transform the culture of assessment. The way we assess our students, because assessment drives learning. The way you will assess your students will start learning in that way. Therefore, this can be a good way to enhance the quality of education in the country. Our examination system, if you look at present, it is basically a rote-based, mainly about textbook content, testing facts, definitions there. Anything, if it comes out of the textbook, people start protesting. They say out of syllabus. That's not the thing. And then our traditional examination do not assess the skills which industry needs. Therefore, assessment process needs to be made more scientific to encourage multiple skills of the students. such as analytical skills, critical thinking, conceptual clarity, etc. And in all of this, teachers have to play a very important role. Otherwise, all this will remain on paper. We have at present about 4 crore students enrolled in higher education. They all have to be assessed at various levels. So your competence, your creativity, your skills matter a lot. Because, look at the knowledge point of view even. Cognitive learning, as you all know, according to Bloom's taxonomy, is a 6-level hierarchy. It starts from remembering, then it goes to understanding, and up to the top is the creativity. So our assessment should also test each level, lower order as well as higher order. These 6 expected outcomes need to be tested. Unfortunately, in our examination system, we test remembering or little bit understanding our application. Beyond that, we do not go. So we need to change the system of assessment. And this is a very good slide, which can tell you for lower order thinking skills, you can use MCQs, short question answer, match, fill in the blanks, etc. But for higher order thinking skills, you may have projects, internship, e-portfolios, field work. So ideal assessment method should be the blend of these two, so that every learning outcome is tested. Then, technology is also becoming very important. You need to embrace technology and become tech savvy. This is another challenge because it's difficult to imagine education without technology in the 21st century. Very difficult. Look at this. Even the new education policy says that the relationship between technology and education is bidirectional. Technology enhances the quality of education, and enhanced quality of education further improves the technology. So they feed on each other. You know how much we are dependent on internet. Everybody knows. Now Japan is coming out with an internet which is 100,000 times faster than the current speed. And even this was the report which recently came, Huawei, which is the Chinese company. This is coming out with the world's fastest internet, which is going to transmit 150 movies per second. 150 movies per second. Just imagine. The speed of this internet is going to be 1.2 terabits per second. I think 1 terabit is 10 to the power 12. So technology, we are all dependent, but technology should be used strategically to benefit students. The harmful effect is that the excessive use of technology has adversely impacted the creativity of our students. They cannot think. For everything, they use computer and all that. They have even forgotten to write by hand also. So these are some of the drawbacks. And then, India is now entering an era of education 4.0. See, in the history, there have been various industrial revolutions, 1, 2, 3, 4. Presently, the world is having 4 and 5. And for every industrial revolution, there is an education system which feeds the workforce. And then society. As a matter of fact, this is important. Industrial revolution, education system, and society are all interlinked because each historical industrial revolution creates a system of education that addresses its needs. Because the workforce for the industrial revolution has to come out of the education system. So it will have to change. And that brings about a change in society. So for Industrial Revolution 4, we will have Education 4 and Society 4. So that is how the things are changing. This was my article about how Education 4.0 will work for coming generations. These are now going to be the technologies of the future. We will talk about this in some other talk, but these are the technologies. These all are becoming very, very popular. But please remember, technology will never replace great teachers. You have to be a great teacher, but technology in the hands of great teachers is highly transformational. You be a great teacher and then also become tech savvy. That combination can do wonders. Unfortunate part is that most of the people are busy more in becoming tech savvy, and in the process, they are losing touch with their own subject. That is harmful. This was my report about technology won't replace teachers. So, ladies and gentlemen, the education in future is going to be an amalgamation of the transformations driven by Education 4.5, NEP 2020, pandemic, emerging student needs, and new technologies. All these are changing the face of education in the country. And in the light of this is another challenge. The roles of the teachers are also going to change now. This is very important for each one of you. And now, some teachers are even worried that perhaps there will be no students to teach anymore in near future, as technology might take over teaching our students. On YouTube, so many lectures, Google, search engine, everywhere you get every material. So there are now some question marks over the future of the teaching profession. New roles for the teachers therefore come. Robot teachers have started coming. Already in India, it has come. Here, you students ask the command through question through command, and then this artificial intelligence empowered teacher answers questions in physics, chemistry, and mathematics with 100% precision. That it is how it has been programmed. So your role now is going to be, you have to become tech savvy in ICT skills. This is very important. Tomorrow, students may be enrolled in e-learning and MOOCs, and if they have some queries, who will answer you? Therefore, you must learn how to manage virtual classroom and discussion forum. Your role is going to be more of a mentor rather than knowledge provider. There was a time when teacher used to be the only source of knowledge. Not now. Now there are so many sources of knowledge. So your role should be like a mentor. You should also be proficient in the development of e-content and MOOCs. So many MOOCs have been developed on SWAYAM platform, almost 4,000. Who has developed them? Teachers only. Great teachers, excellent writing skills. That can do wonders. So all these are going to be the new role. These things we were never talking earlier, but now these are becoming the demands of the society. Therefore, what I would say, a change of mindset is required in all of you. Don't think what I know is enough. No, I must learn more. Your thinking should become more interdisciplinary. So upskilling and learning other subjects is also the need of the hour. Look at this quote: birds born in a cage think flying is an illness. So you must change your mindset. So the key to meeting challenges of higher education in future lies in the regular empowerment of the teachers. That's what we do. And now I come to the last part, C. It will take about 10 minutes. I will then stop it. I hope 10 to 15 minutes. I want to tell you these some personality development tips for enhancing your competence. I showed you this slide earlier. You need knowledge, you need skills, but we sometimes ignore personality development, and this affects your overall competence. So personality, I don't mean the looks. Personality means a set of traits and behaviors that characterize an individual, and they can do wonders. Look at this report. 87% of all people fail, not because of capability, but because of personality. And the worst part is they do not know that their personality is coming in the way of their job performance. Because personality development is often neglected in India. The best thing about personality is it can always be improved if you make efforts. And it can transform your future. Now, what are the personality development tips? These are in the form of life lessons, which I'm going to give you based on my experience also, but I also learned. Therefore, I'm sharing it with you because there is a very famous Chanakya quote: learn from the mistakes and experience of others, because we may not live long enough to make all of them on our own. Therefore, learn from others. And please remember, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. So this is the guiding principle. First thing is, you should all learn the art of living. You are in this world to live, not only to teach or not only to do one activity. It's the overall holistic living. Most people, unfortunately, only exist. Living has become rare. And please remember, you only live once, but if you do it right, one is more than enough. So keep that thing in mind. So art of living means capability to draw pleasure from life and to succeed in the greatest test called life. Life itself is a big test. You must be successful in that. Look at this World Happiness Report. India is almost at 136th position. People are not happy, stressed, always thinking something, worried about future. All that problems are there. So you can very well see that that is not living. You are just passing time, it seems, thinking and thinking. And please remember, you will not find the happy life. You will have to make it happy. Nobody will give you a happy life on a platter. Make the best of that. ये एक अच्छा कोट है, दर्पण में मुख और संसार में सुख होता नहीं, बस दिखता है. So keep that thing in mind. But this is also very important for you. जिंदगी बहुत कुछ देकर भी किसी ना किसी चीज के लिए फकीर बनाए रखती है. So keep this thing in. Life is not fair. So कभी भी ये नहीं सोचो कि ये काम हो जाएगा तब मैं खुश हो जाऊंगा. ये कभी भी नहीं होगा. हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ तमन्नाएं बढ़ती रहेंगी. इसलिए live in the moment and make it the best use of it. So be proactive in life. This is one more message for you. If you are proactive, you focus on preparing. If you are reactive, you end up focusing on repairing. So you should become proactive in life. And proactive people don't wait for the ship to come in. They swim out to it. That is what you should do. Always be proactive. This will help you. Then there are a few traits which you should develop, which everybody can develop. I read the books of many people. They all developed these qualities. Why not you? Self-belief is very important. If you want to succeed, you must first believe that you can. Believe in yourself. Look at the quote. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not in the branch but in her own wings. That is the confidence you should have in yourself. And then, one who believes in himself has no need to convince others. That's all. And millions of people may believe in you, but if you do not believe in yourself, everything goes waste. So believe in yourself. This is very, very important. And then never become arrogant in life. Sometimes a small success goes into a person's head. That should not happen because arrogance is the surest path to failure. Look at this quote. कभी किसी चीज का घमंड आ जाए तो शमशान का एक चक्कर लगा आना, तुमसे बेहतरीन लोग वहां राख बने पड़े. Just keep it in mind. Then you will never become. You will remain down to earth. All this is a passing phase. Time, all these ups and downs keep on happening. Please remember you are dust and to dust you shall return. Keep this reality of life always in mind. You will never become arrogant. Then self-discipline is another quality which is a must if you want to succeed in life. Self-discipline, I mean mastery over your thoughts. If you can control what you think, you can always control what you do. But it's not very easy. You will have to practice it because the heaviest burden that we carry are the thoughts in our head. And there is nothing in this world that can trouble you more than your own thoughts. And this happens with everybody. No, we think about 70,000 thoughts a day. They keep on working in our mind. No, when you're sitting alone, you're always thinking something. So practice this. Start practicing self-control. This will change your life. If you can learn self-control, you can master anything. And this can also lead to mental toughness, It will make you mentally tough because it is the ability to focus on and execute solutions, especially in the face of adversity. It will prepare you for those, times of adversity. And always strive for excellence. Whatsoever line you are, excel in that. A penguin cannot become a giraffe, so try to be the best penguin you can be. Excellence should be your keyword. It should become your habit. Practice it. It is possible. People have achieved that. And then be positive and honest in your life. Don't need to tell to the world. Nobody bothers that you are honest or not. It's your inner conscious that is to which you have to be answerable. Change your mindset. Have a positive mindset. Always positive thinking. Look at this person getting 11 marks out of 10. So positive thinkers will have a solution for every problem. Negative thinkers will have a problem for every solution. So be positive. Then this is another thing which I also learned late. Work hard sensibly. Many of us may be very, very hard working. And I'm sure all of you are, because you are in that profession where you have to work very hard. But sensible aspect is important. Direction is more important than speed. So choose your direction very carefully. Of course, you're free to choose any direction, but then you will not be free from the consequences of your choice. So be very, very careful. And please remember, if you are on the right path, on the right direction, then sooner or later you will get the success. Life is a process. No one rises suddenly in this world, not even the sun. So be persistent, be on the right path, never give up. World will be at your feet. Then come out of your comfort zone. Many of us are not able to do much because, very soon people come in a comfort zone. Please remember, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's only after you have stepped out of your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm getting a good salary, I am permanent, my husband or wife getting good salary, children are well set, why should I work? This type of attitude also comes. So that's a comfort zone. Then fear of failure you need to overcome. This is something which comes a deterrent for many of us. I may not fail. Don't worry, fail is first attempt in learning. जब तक तुम डरते रहोगे, तुम्हारी जिंदगी के फैसले कोई और लेता रहे. याद रखिए इस चीज. डरिए मत. It's your own life. Only one life you get. But if you manage it well, I think one is more than enough. Failures can be the pillars of success depending on how you take them. Take them as a stepping stone to success. And your attitude towards failure determines your altitude after failure. It's all a question of mindset. Thinking how you react to your failure. Then worry is another very common stumbling block in the growth of young individuals. Stop worrying and start living. Worry is what? Worry is a misuse of your imagination. And we suffer more in imagination than in reality. You will agree that. And one day, you will look back and realize that you worried too much about things that don't really matter. But by that time would have gone. You cannot undo that. So don't worry. Just whatsoever will happen. As a matter of fact, this slide is very important. You should not worry about the things which are out of your control. Worry about the things which are in your control. And what is in your control? Your attitude, your effort, your focus. Why to worry about what others think? Why to worry about what will happen in future? What will be the actions of the others? Why to worry about that? And don't impress people. Many people, are trying to impress others. No. If you knew how quickly people forget the dead, you would stop living to impress people. But nobody bothers, it's a passing game. Everybody, anything happens within few days, everybody will forget you. Just don't spend your time wasting on that. Live your own life. Control anger is another. It's a very normal emotion. But please remember, it's a logical approach to this, that the fire of anger burns you first. So you should try to control anger and never say mean words out of anger, because your anger will pass, but your mean words can scare a person for life. Use either kind words or be silent. But one thing you should remember, please, psychology says beneath anger, there always lies some fear. Yes, you should keep it in. Must be something because that fear which is making you angry. And this is a very useful tip for each one of you. किसी पर ज्यादा नाराज होने से बेहतर है कि अपने जीवन में उसकी अहमियत को ही कम कर. Yes, okay. So then is time management, which is very important. I don't need to tell you, time management is life management. Everybody gets 24 hours a day. The secret to success is how you manage your time. Every day is once in a lifetime. Look at the quote of Amitabh, कल खो दिया आज के लिए, आज खो दिया कल के लिए, कभी जी ना सके हम आज आज के लिए, बीत रही है जिंदगी कल आज और कल के लिए. That is how the life will pass. You may be 30, 40, 50, 60, whatsoever may be your age, whatsoever years have gone, they have gone. You can't do anything. But the rest of the life you can live good. So invest your time, don't spend it. Live, don't exist. Again, I am emphasizing. Because time is what we want most, but what we use worst. बंधी हैं हाथ पर सबके घड़ियां मगर पकड़ में किसी के एक लम्हा भी नहीं. So keep this thing in mind. And please remember, this is also one good slide which I wanted. No time is wrong for the right things. Look at this. When time is never ready to wait for us, then why do we always wait for the right time? No time is wrong to do right things. Just. And then live in the moment. That is what I mentioned earlier also. The present moment is the only moment available to us, and it is the door to all moments. So life becomes more meaningful when you realize the simple fact that you will never get the same moment twice. That time will never come again. So live it, live in the present. Sometimes you will never know the true value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Yes, true. And then one more thing, have a high opinion of yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. You know, having a low opinion of yourself is not modesty, it is self-destruction. Hold your uniqueness in high esteem, in high regard. It is a necessary precondition for happiness and success. And please remember, you are unique. No one can match you. Have a high opinion of yourself. You may not be perfect in many things, but then many things cannot be perfect without you also. So stay special in your own little ways. So ladies and gentlemen, coming to the end, at the end of the day, your biggest competition is with you. Be your own king. And you are a king if you know how to rule yourself. So the whole ultimately crux of the entire talk is you must rule yourself, control over yourself. You should not become the puppet of your mind. You should become the master of your mind. You don't have the problem. You are the problem. स्वर्ग भी तू है, नरक भी तू है, इन दोनों का फर्क भी तू. जिंदगी छोटी नहीं होती, लोग जीना ही देरी से शुरू करते हैं. जब तक रास्ते समझ में आते हैं तब तक लौटने का वक्त हो जाता है. So I think a lot is hidden in this slide. You can understand that. And then it's never too late to be what you might have been. Maybe that's why I said this lecture can prove to be a game changer for you if you just practice some of these things. Challenges keep us fresh. You know, there is a famous quote, a ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. So similarly, humans are not designed to be happy in status quo. So continue to remain dissatisfied so that you can get better and better, because challenges keep us fresh. This principle you should have in life. Don't take every challenge as a problem. Take every problem as a challenge. And challenges are the doorways to excellence. These are the opportunities in disguise. Please remember, take every challenge as an opportunity. And you know, this is a very famous quote. When the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. That is how you make use of the opportunities. It's up to you. And these are the lessons people learn. I'm telling you now, these are the lessons which people normally learn quite late in life. Everything is temporary. So stay connected, but never get attached. Life is not fair. Don't complain. Beneath anger is always fear, as I told you. Things don't matter that much. People matter. Once people leave your life, they create a vacuum, no doubt. A lifetime is not very long. Soon it will be over. You played it too safe. You should have taken risks in life also. And then life has no reset button. Live every day like it's your last day. And these realizations come to everybody in life. They will come to everybody in life. Generally, by the time these realizations will come, it will be too late. But what's the use of that? Then you will teach your children. That should not happen. Make your life useful. दुनिया जिसे कहते हैं जादू का खिलौना है, जो मिल गया वो मिट्टी और जो ना मिला वो सोना है. ये हमारा माइंडसेट होता है. ये गाना है, मैं सुनाता हूं हमेशा, मुझे अच्छा लगता है, मैं आपको भी सुनाता हूं, फिर उसके बाद खत्म हो जाएगा.
दुनिया है मौज दरिया कतरे की जिंदगी क्या, दुनिया है मौज दरिया कतरे की जिंदगी क्या. पानी में मिलके पानी अंजाम ये के पानी, पानी में मिलके पानी अंजाम ये के पानी. दम भर को सांस ले ले, दम भर को सांस ले ले, ये जिंदगी के मेले दुनिया में कम न होंगे, अफसोस हम न होंगे. ये जिंदगी बहारे उल्फत की यादगारें होंगी, ये बहारे उल्फत की यादगारें. बिगड़ेगी और बनेगी दुनिया यही रहेगी, बिगड़ेगी और बनेगी दुनिया यही रहेगी. होंगे यही झमेले, होंगे यही झमेले, ये जिंदगी के मेले दुनिया में कम न होंगे, अफसोस हम न होंगे. ये जिंदगी के मौज दरिया कतरे जाम ये के पानी.
So one day you will be just a memory for some people. Do your best to be a good one. And this is the last slide. जिंदगी के रंगमंच पर अपना किरदार इतनी शिद्दत से निभाएं कि पर्दा गिरने के बाद भी तालियां बजती रहें. जिंदगी नहीं मिलेगी दोबारा. देखिए, हम सब भी, टीचर्स भी तो एक किरदार ही निभा रहे हैं ना, तो इतना अच्छा निभाइए. थैंक यू वेरी मच. इट वॉज ए प्लेयर talking to you. I know I took little more time, but your feedback, any comments are welcome. This is my cell number. This is my email ID. You can always be in touch, and all the best to you. Hope to see you later on in some other talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was, again, as usual, always a motivational talk from you. So I'm sure that all the participants here have really got motivated in the very first session. And I think that will help us taking this program also till successful completion, I will say. And we are having more sessions from sir also. So there will be 3 more sessions. So don't worry, we'll keep on giving the boost of motivation. So Sarita, you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would like to thank sir. It's a pleasure to thank you, sir, for giving you such a talk where We learned so much about the NEP, which is now all around us. So thank you for telling us, and also that we have to focus on learner-centric education, which is the key word, I think, which should have always been, but now it is more in focus, and we have to focus on that. And all our teaching, or whether it is our assessment, they all have to be learner-centric, where we have to pay a lot of focus on hands-on and minds-on. We've always been talking of hands-on, but now you also said the word minds-on. So where we have to motivate them to use their minds more. And also, thank you for telling us about the new roles of the teacher in the higher education, where, as you very rightly said, that we have to be do the role of a mentor rather than doing the role of just a teacher, because so much content is available to them. So how to use the content, how to go about it, I think that is very important. We all have to assume those roles and change our methodology, which should be our focus. And last but not the least, thank you for telling us about the uh, personality development that which we learn very late in life, which is the roadblock for many of us. So I think we should also focus on that aspect of ourselves, where we focus on our personality, as well as we teach our children how to focus on their personality, which the earlier they learn, the better it is, which definitely does not mean how we look, as you said, but how we come across as a whole person. So thank you very much, sir, for telling
Thank
us
you.
all this. I think time is short. Otherwise, there's lots that I would have liked to speak. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I'll request you to please wait, because the next session is by Professor Ved Prakash, sir. So maybe sir has joined, and please make sir as co-host.
Has sir joined?
Yeah, I can see his name maybe. Yeah,
Acha, okay.
yes. Professor Ved Prakash, sir, you can unmute
Yeah,
and
good morning. Sorry,
good
good
morning,
evening
sir. Good morning,
to all of
please.
you.
Good
Good evening,
morning, and
Professor Bakshi.
Morning, sir.
Sorry. Good evening, Sarita ji.
good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Uh,
Professor.
How are you, Professor Bakshi?
Oh, fine, all fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Rather, I will request Professor Bakshi, sir, to formally welcome Professor Ved Prakash, sir. And before I go to the slides and
No, it's a pleasure, and
Nice.
I think we are privileged that Professor Ved Prakash, who is a well-known name in academia, is with us today. And I must tell you that he will be speaking to us from United States of America, where he is at present. And it's quite early in the morning that he has to wake up and deliver this talk. That also shows his commitment to serve the cause of education in the country. So, sir, you are welcomed, and we also wish you a very happy new year, because you were abroad at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm very sure that all the participants are very eagerly looking forward to your talk, which is going to be an overview of new education policy. And for details about the curriculum vitae of Professor Ved Prakash, I think I will request Professor, because what I would say is that he is one person who has occupied all the three top positions in UGC: Secretary UGC, then Vice Chairman UGC, and then Chairman UGC as well. I think no other individual has occupied all the three positions. So it's a rare feat which has been achieved by him, and much more because we have been interacting with Professor Ved Prakash for quite a few years. We have been talking on various issues, and we have always learned a great deal from these deliberations. So over to you, Professor Vimal, for
I
I
think there's no need for Vimal to say anything. You have said more than enough. And
but I think,
let me
sir,
talk
it
to
will
the.
be
It's
motivating
okay.
for other teachers also, that
It
how
doesn't look.
they
It's
can
okay.
be.
It's okay.
Sir, please.
See, it's always very inspiring to see Professor Bakshi. In fact, let me say, good evening to all the participants who have joined this program from across the country. And it's always very inspiring for me to listen to Professor Bakshi, because he's the man who does not come unprepared, actually. You might have also realized it after listening to his talk and seeing his presentation. In fact, I grew to admire his scholarship and his commitment, and I consider myself fortunate enough to be associated with the group which is headed by him. I'm the latecomer in this group, actually. This group was formed much earlier, and I'm extremely grateful to them that they have associated me in their program. So today, in fact, what I have thought is that I wanted to share something very different with you. I was very keen to share with the participants about the latest trends in higher education globally. And I had decided that I would like to reflect in brief about the National Education Policy 2020, which has been with us for the last almost 3 years. And I discussed it with Professor Vimal, but Vimal is a very persuasive person, so she persuaded me to alter my address. So I decided that I'm going to talk to you first about the global trends in higher education, and then I will talk about the national education policy. And today I have decided that I'm going to skip about the implications of the intents of the national education policy. I will leave it for the participants to reflect on that aspect or to ask questions once I'm done with my address. We all know that national education policy is not a very big document, and I'm sure all of you must have gone through this document several times. It consists of only 63 pages, and if you I would want you to go through the entire document, because that will give you the complete perspective about all the intents that we have expressed through this document in 2020. But if you wish to focus only on the sector of higher education, it consists of only 17 pages. So in the first part of my address, as I have said, I'm going to share with you the global trends in higher education. And why I have decided to do that is that I thought that it will give you an idea how the higher education is shaping up across the globe in terms of its size, inclusivity, gender equality, quality, flexible learning pathways, quality assurance, quality frameworks, recognition of qualifications, mobility of the international students, and financing of higher education across the globe, etc. In the second part, I'm going to reflect on the policy, wherein I will be focusing only on the proposed structural, programmatic, and regulatory changes. And as I said earlier, the third part, I'll leave for the questions and answers, wherein you may like to ask questions relating to the implications of the intents or any other aspects of the National Education Policy 2020. Let me begin with some of the highlights of the UNESCO Higher Education Global Data Report of 2022. That is the latest report which is in public domain. After that, I will talk about some top trends in higher education across the globe. So let us first know that all over the world, the greater emphasis is on making higher education inclusive. And this is going on for over 6 decades since the UN Declaration of 1966. And if you see the Declaration of Human Rights, you would find it categorically mentioned, and let me quote from there, the Declaration of Human Rights states that higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. It has not talked about the universalization of higher education. No nation on this planet has ever attempted for the universalization of higher education, though the gross enrollment ratio of higher education varies across the nation states. There are countries wherein the gross enrollment ratio of higher education is as high as 79%, 80%, 82%. But there are also countries wherein the gross enrollment ratio is abysmally low. According to the right to education, tertiary education should be, I'm quoting from that document, according to the right to education, tertiary education should be accessible without discrimination by every appropriate means on the basis of individual capacity and progressively free. As talent is equally distributed across the population in all groups, regardless of their characteristics, it is possible to find students with the potential to succeed in higher education in all contexts, unquote. The past decade has seen actually significant growth in enrollment, yet millions of students in the age cohort of 18 to 23, somewhere it is 18 to 24, are not having access to higher education. Enrollment has increased in all groupings, but at different rates. If you look at different social groups and gender, you will find varying participation of the youth in post-secondary education sector. The worldwide gross enrollment ratio in higher education has increased from 19% to 40% within a span of 20 years. If you see the data of 2000 and compare it with the 2020, you will find that it has increased, 21 percentage point. Today we have our own, if you look at the Indian gross enrollment ratio, it is 27%. Total enrollment in higher education in the world is 235 million in 2020, which means about 23.5 crore children are enrolled globally in the sector of higher education. And if you look at your own figure, the latest survey of higher education shows that we have about 41 million students enrolled in higher education, which means 4.1 crore. The biggest increase in the gross enrollment ratio between 2000 and 2020 has been in the Eastern and the Central Asia, up to 36 percentage points. About a third of enrollment worldwide is estimated to be in private higher educational institutions and 2/3 in public institutions. I was looking at the figure, the total number of which are of the number of institutions which are in operation. And I found that it has increased 52% since 2006. We have a little over 88,000 institutions of higher learning across the globe, actually. And half of the global total higher educational institutions are in Central or Southern Asia. And we are a big player in this region, actually. And this number has gone up tremendously, entirely due to the number of educational institutions which have been set up in India in the recent past. India has added more than 54,000 higher educational institutions, since 1999. We have today about 1,113 degree awarding institutions of different categories: central universities, state universities, private universities, institutions deemed to be universities, institutions of national importance, institutions of eminence. I mean, you would not find that kind of classification anywhere in the world. Either you have the colleges or you have the universities in the rest of the world, but we have these different categories of institutions. We have about, apart from these 1,113 degree awarding institutions, we have about 43,000 colleges and 10,000, close to 10,000 stand-alone institutions which are offering the diploma program, which is the part of the post-secondary education. We have added more than 22,000 higher educational institutions in the last, a little over two decades, accounting for 74% of the world's growth in institution counts. If you look at the participation in higher education by wealth, actually, the UNESCO has quoted, and I quote, "The poorest have hardly any post-secondary education opportunities in low and middle income countries," unquote. Gaps in enrollment rates in higher education between the richest and the poorest can reach 60 percentage points or over in some middle income countries. Our situation is also equally distressing insofar as the participation of youth in higher education is concerned. Inequalities by income level entail gaps not only in enrollment rates, but in the types of higher education institutions the students attend. And we have similar situation. If you look at the profile of the students enrolled in the premier institutions, or in programs which we call progressive program or market-oriented program, you would find that the children coming from the minorities, from the backward sections of the society is very, very low in our own context. If you look at the gender equality, actually, it's quite inspiring to know that the girls have outranked the boys in terms of enrollment in higher education. The gross enrollment ratio in higher education increased from 19% in 2000 to 43% in 2021 among women, but only from 19% to 37% among men. This is the latest data which I saw, which shows that the participation rates of girls has increased much faster than the participation rates of boys in the sector of higher education. So gender parity index indicates that at the global level, 113 women are enrolled in higher education for every 100 men in 2020. This is a very good sign, but it should also be a matter of concern at the national level as to what is happening to the boys. Why are they not participating in equal numbers in higher education? It concerns the quality of learning experiences, the completion of qualifications, participation in the labor market, contribution in research and leadership roles, and engagement in all disciplines. If you look at the participation rates in different domains of knowledge, we often talk about STEM, wherein we considered, program, technical program, exact sciences program, mathematics programs. More than half of graduates in 2019 were female, but it has dropped to 41% in STEM subjects and rises to 66% for medicines. It means that more number of girls are going for medical education, and a lesser number of girls are going for the technology and allied disciplines. Academic and research gender indicators reveal that a little more than 1/3 of senior academics and close to 30% of authors are women. If you look at the participation of the children with who are physically challenged, UNESCO data shows that about 1 billion people in the world have some form of disability. And persons with disability aged 25 and above who have completed higher education is half as low as those without disabilities. But this is not the data from all the 196 countries. This is the data from a selected few, actually. The potential to succeed in education of persons with disability is primarily hindered by physical accessibility. Though the regulators in our country have been writing to individual institutions to create facilities for the smooth access, preparing ramps and creating facilities which can facilitate the participations of children with physical disability, but much leaves to be desired. Another issue relating to the participation of persons with disabilities in sector of higher education is limitations in teacher training and learning materials, financial restrictions, and prejudice and discrimination against persons with disability. I have seen some of the labs in this part of the world where I am sitting today, that they have created outstanding facilities in their labs to facilitate the participation of such children with disability in carrying out sophisticated experiments. We have not been able to do that, though we talk about virtual reality and all that yet. If you look at the quality in higher education, which is a great concern actually, quality in higher education is a multi-dimensional, multi-level and dynamic concept actually, because quality is a construct. It is a social construct, and it relates to the contextual settings of an educational model, to the institutional mission and objectives, as well as to specific standards within a given system, institution, program, or discipline. If you are creating access to certain group of people, for them, that is the quality, that they have the access to higher education. If you create better facilities, then that is another level of quality. If you ensure the participation of every single section of the society, that is yet another parameter of quality, and which is why I have said that it is a multi-dimensional, multi-level and dynamic concept. Lately, you would find at the global level that the nation states are coming up with flexible learning pathways policy framework. We have talked about it in our national education policy. And I would like to quote from the Indian Declaration of Framework for Action Towards Inclusive and Equitable Quality Education and Lifelong Learning for All States. And now I quote, the provision of multiple and flexible learning pathways and entry points and re-entry points at all ages and all educational levels is strengthened links between formal and non-formal structures and recognition, validation, and accreditation of the knowledge, skills, and competencies acquired through non-formal and informal education. This is the declaration of UNESCO Declaration of 2016, unquote. Learning as a lifelong experience requires quality education provisions alongside flexible learning pathways. Today, because of the major concerns of reskilling and upskilling at all the levels, we require flexible learning pathways. I mean, institutions are obliged to create situations that if their alumnus wish to come back to them to reskill themselves or upskill themselves, then they should create that kind of a situation, but we have not been able to build that kind of a tempo yet. I think soon, and I hope that soon, our institutions will take cognizance of this reality of the world, and they will create situations that the pass outs of their institutions have such facilities that they can come back to their old institution and they can reskill and upskill themselves. Each person's learning trajectory is unique actually, and involves innumerable formal and informal learning experiences. If you look at the public policies and regulations and institutional structure, you would find that they can foster integrated and flexible system for dynamic learning progression by, for example, by recognizing prior learning and by facilitating horizontal and vertical mobility. That is what we have also proposed in our National Credit Framework. If you see the National Credit Framework, which we have released, we have attempted to create such situations wherein we recognize the prior learning and we facilitate the movement of the students both horizontally and vertically. A regulatory, legislative, and policy framework for flexible learning pathways can support in a variety of ways. What are the advantages of it actually? Which is why the nations after nations, and particularly the developed economies, they are creating the flexible learning pathways. They have come up with different policies because they have realized, and we need to learn from them, that it can widen participation in higher education. Number one, that it can provide better responsiveness to diverse students' needs. And third, it can improve general level of education in society. It can help in career progression. It can strengthen equity in progression of studies, and it can also reduce the dropout rates. There are about 75 countries which have counted, which have put in place the policy which supports flexible learning pathways with varying degrees. I mean, you cannot have 1:1 correspondence between these learning pathways if you look at the regulatory framework of different nation states. But I have found out that they have come up with policies like policy on national qualification framework. We have also come up now with the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, which we did not have for all these years, and which was a matter of great concern for us and cause of embarrassment also at the international level when we would tell the international agencies that we do not have the National Higher Education Qualification Framework. But today we have put up the National Higher Education Qualification Framework in place. Policy, they also have policy on information and guidance for students, policy on credit accumulation and transfer systems, policy on recognition and validation of prior learning, policy for lifelong learning, a separate national policy for flexible learning pathways. There are at least 11 types of pathways which I have counted to enter higher education across the world. And which is why the students in the western part of the world do not find it difficult to move from one nation to another nation or from one institution to another institution. There are no questions of the recognition of qualifications because of they have developed these policy frameworks which are known to different countries. Insofar as the quality assurance is concerned, we have also put in place two national level organizations. One is NAC, which was established by the University Grants Commission in 1994. And the another one is the National Board of Accreditation, which initially was started by the All India Council for Technical Education. Today it is an independent and autonomous institution. According to Global Convention on the Recognition of Qualification Concerning Higher Education, quality assurance refers to an ongoing process actually, by which the quality of higher education system, institution or program is assessed by a competent body to assure the stakeholders that acceptable educational standards are continuously being maintained and enhanced. And which is why, some years ago, the University Grants Commission has supported the higher educational institution in India to establish the internal quality assurance cells in all colleges and in all universities. When I was there, we were providing the financial assistance to the institutions to support these IQ cells. But if you look at the quality assurance bodies, you might have come across that some Indian institutions are showing that they are accredited not only by NAC and that their programs are not accredited only by NBA, but their programs are also accredited by some of the international agencies. So the international agencies are also in the game now. And I found out that there are 345 quality assurance bodies which operate worldwide. Quality assurance bodies have developed processes to validate their own work, including by third-party assessment. Several countries have one or more national and multiple regional, professional, and subject-specific quality assurance bodies. Some of the institutions or some of the countries are going in for now subject-specific benchmarking of learning outcomes. So out of the approximately 345 quality assurance bodies operating worldwide, around 142 have been evaluated externally or have been recognized by regional or international quality assurance networks. In 2007, actually, the the UNESCO came up with a qualification framework which represents a comprehensive policy framework defining all nationally recognized qualifications in higher education in terms of workload level, quality, learning outcomes, and profiles of teachers and students. At least 116 countries have a national qualification framework addressing higher education. And today we can also say that we also have national qualification framework, which we call National Qualification Framework for Higher Education, National Higher Education Qualification Framework. That is the name we have given. The great majority of certified or referenced national qualification frameworks are in Europe, actually. It is structurally horizontally in order to cover all qualifications awarded. Its purpose is to facilitate actually curriculum development and design of study programs. It also facilitates the mobility of the students, and it also facilitates insofar as the recognition of the academic credentials are concerned. The recognition of qualification facilitates international mobility. It establishes universal principles for fair, transparent, and non-discriminatory recognition of higher education. And it helps in the mobility of the students across the country. In fact, if you look at the number of international mobile students, that number has tripled in the last 20 years. It used to be about 2 million, but today, if you see the latest figure, you would find that 6 million students, international students are there. the share of the international mobile students rose from about 2% to almost 2.6% in 2022. Insofar as the financing of higher education is concerned, the enrollment in higher education has almost doubled in the last 20 years. And the number and diversity of providers continues to grow. Adequate financing has become all the more important for ensuring equality and affordability in higher education. Let me now also share with you about the top 10 trends actually. One is about the diversity in higher education in terms of students enrollment and faculty, and which is a very good sign that we are diversifying our campuses. And campuses are being diversified all over the world because that is considered the strength of any sector of education. And it has been worldly, acknowledged. It's an internationally acknowledged fact that equity and excellence go hand in hand. Some of the institutions, unfortunately, undermine. They have their own way of screening the students, recruitment of the faculty. But I think they need to recognize the potential of the diversity of students and the diversity of faculty. There has been another big trend is the increase in non-traditional students. Usually what was happening that a child in the age cohort of 18 to 24 was traditionally considered as a student of higher education. But today that is not the, trend. People of higher age group are returning to the campuses of the institutions of higher learning for upskilling and reskilling actually, because the newer kinds of jobs are available in the market and they want to acquire those competencies and skills which are needed by these modern world of work. The another trend is embracing artificial intelligence for learning. There is too much of a race actually insofar as the embracement of artificial intelligence is considered. And I was reading an article by one of the Nobel laureates who has cautioned the world that this artificial intelligence, those who are engaged in creating and expanding the scope of the artificial intelligence, is going to kill them in some years from hence. He has argued that today the kind of coding that they are doing to make use of artificial intelligence in different walks of life, a time will come then that artificial coding will also be done by artificial intelligence, and they will lose their jobs. So, in a lighter vein, he said that it is going to devastate those who are busy today in creating artificial intelligence. And he has also said and warned the world that the world would need empathy and care and harmonization. In a way, he talked about the values and ethics and the physical help and support that would be required by the world, and which will be missing because of this, and the artificial intelligence would not be able to provide those kinds of support system which would be needed by the world in 15 or 20 years from hence. The another trend which is emerging is online learning that is becoming more prevalent. And one more trend which I was sharing with Professor Vimal 2 days ago is about the virtual reality for education. That is yet another trend. Today, from a farther place, you can carry out the experiments in physical sciences. institutions have created those kinds of facilities. And we have more, another trend is about the focus on closing the skill gaps, skill gaps that we find, and we are criticized time and again by the corporate world that our graduates are not employable because they do not have the kind of skills which are needed by the modern world of work. Another trend is about the rise of MOOCs, actually, massive open online courses, because there is no um, uh, there are no issues insofar as the number of students enrolled in such programs are concerned. One need not have specific qualifications, eligibility to enter into these programs. If someone wishes to upgrade her skills or his skills, I mean, he or she can easily enroll in the MOOCs, which are available by different international agencies, and we also have our SHAM platform. Then another trend is about the enrollment of international students. In our policy, we have also talked that each and every institution should have a special focus on the mobility of international students, and they should create an office for that. The growing need for alternate funding options because the enrollment is not keeping pace with the with the funding that we are receiving. So these are some of the trends which I wanted to share with you. I would like to focus particularly on non-traditional students, because in the present era, people need to upskill and reskill themselves to prepare for the future jobs. And the number of non-traditional students is poised to keep the upward trend. The university should design special programs for non-traditional students. I can let me also focus, which I consider more important, this virtual reality, which is heralded by many as a game changer in higher education. This immersive technology involves educators are increasingly looking into ways to incorporate virtual reality into pedagogical approaches because of the benefits it delivers to students. Increased engagement and motivation, exploratory and contextualized learning, and experiential learning opportunities that may otherwise be inaccessible are some of the greatest advantages of these virtual realities. And that can be done even in physical sciences. So these are some of the trends which I thought that I would like to share with you. But in conclusion, I would like to say that we all know that the higher education landscape is changing and changing very rapidly all over the world, which is a big threat not only for the students, society, but also for the teachers, because they have to ensure their relevance in the sector, which means that they will have to keep upskilling themselves or reskilling themselves. And if they do not do that, they will lose their relevance. The sector is being hit from all sides by social, curriculum, technological, and financial changes. Institutions that want to maintain an edge over others should be prepared to adopt these emerging trends in higher education. Otherwise, they are going to lose their credibility, and they will be facing a big threat insofar as the identity of these institutions are concerned. Universities should heavily invest in research to come up with innovative yet cheaper ways to adopt emerging technologies. And technology aside, more research is needed to determine what curriculum will work best for future leaders. And therefore, what is needed is that we need to give a futuristic orientation to higher education if we want to emerge as a good nation state. Now, I mean, this was the first part of my address. And now I'm going to spend some time on the NEP 2020 now. And as I had said earlier, excuse me, I'm not going to reflect on the implications of the intents of the policy that I will leave for you to deliberate upon or to reflect upon. I would rather request you to look at each and every intent of the policy and write something, write articles, write research papers on those intents actually. Focusing on the implications. What are the implications when we are talking about the transformation of all institutions into three types of institutions: research-intensive universities, teaching-intensive universities, and autonomous colleges with the degree granting powers actually. What would be the implications? You have 43,000 colleges of all shapes and sizes offering all kinds of programs. And if you are going to convert all of them, a college located in the far-flung area of Morigaon or Dhenkanal or Kalahandi or Birbhum, Cooch Behar, Nellore, Guntur, Shimoga, in Bijapur in Karnataka, or in Champaran in Bihar. What would happen to the students who would be graduating from these? How are we going to ensure the parity of standards of academic attainment? I would want you to think through those kinds of implications themselves. But what I have noticed, I'm sure that you would have gone through this document several times, and which is necessary actually. It's a very good document, and we need to learn a great deal. I would rather suggest you to go into the earlier policies also, policy of 1968 and policy of 1986, 1992 program of action, and this National Education Policy 2020, and see how have we attempted to give different directions to the different sectors of higher education. General education, physical education, vocational education, exact science education. I have identified 21 different aspects insofar as national education policy is concerned. And I'm going to talk to you about the expectations from the policy, the vision in brief, what are the structural changes we have suggested, about assessment and evaluation, massification of higher education, open and distance learning in higher education, use of technology and online education, internationalization of education, skilling in higher education, integration of values and ethics in higher education, professional education, teacher education, faculty in higher education, research in higher education, private higher education, financing, curbing of commercialization, regulatory mechanism. And where shall we start actually from to make it happen? And identification of tasks for different agencies and what is the way forward. So in this section, I'm going to reflect on this quickly. Actually, first of all, we need to understand what do we mean by a policy. Policy is a statement of intents. I've talked about the intents a number of times until now. It is a deliberate system of principles to move forward. And it helps us achieve rational outcome, and it helps us ensure consistency in decision making. The question is, why have we brought out this policy after a long gap of 34 years? After 1986, yes, yeah. It was necessitated because education has undergone enormous amount of transformation due to national and international developments. How well we have designed the policy will depend upon 5 things. Number 1, how well we understand the intents of the national education policy. Number 2, how well we orient the policy implementers And I would like to congratulate the University Grants Commission for supporting this faculty orientation or faculty development program for this purpose. And how well we take the states on board, and how well we finance our efforts, and where do we make the beginning from. These 5 things, according to me, are very, very important. You know that we have a gigantic system of higher education. I have already talked about the number of students, number of institutions. There are about 26 crore children enrolled in school education and 4 crore children in higher education. And but still, a substantial number of children are still outside the system. And to make quality education accessible to about, 37 crore children in the age cohort of 3 to 18, and about 7 crore children in the age cohort of 18 to 23 is a very tall order. And with the aim of achieving 50% gross enrollment ratio in higher education, we shall have to make quality education accessible at an affordable cost to about 8 crore children. So educating 37 plus 8, excuse me, 37 plus 8, 45 crore children is not a small task actually. When we make policy, we usually charter our own path and we look out for the best practices around. But we need to identify practices that seem to be workable in our own context. They may not always be the best available in the other part of the world. In a diverse country like ours, we shall have to look up for practices which are inclusive in nature. So let us know that from now on, what are the action points which emerge? We must read every word of it and try to understand implications of every statement of the intent that the policy contains. Vision, it says that the purpose of education is to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action processes, compassion, empathy, etc. It talks about promoting flexibility and equity and transforming India into an equitable and a vibrant knowledge society. Now, what are the structural changes we have proposed? It has talked about moving universities and colleges towards multidisciplinary universities and colleges, that all higher education institutions will become multi-faculty by 2030. Large number of our large number of our institutions are already multi-faculty, but some are not. We have talked about having only 3 types of institutions. I've already reflected on that in brief. So we have talked about moving towards a more liberal multidisciplinary undergraduate education, which will be of either 3-year duration or 4-year duration with multiple exit options within this period. Certificate after completing 1 year, diploma after 2 years, bachelor degree after 3 years, and 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor degree with research after 4 years. Now, as a distinguished member of the higher education sector, I think you should identify what would be the implications for the public institutions, what would be the implications for the private institutions, which survive only on the internal recoveries and the donations and endowments actually. If of 40 students which you enroll, 10 leave after 1 year, another 8 leave after 2 years, another 5 leave after 3 years, and you are left only with a handful of students, what are going to be the implications? That is for you to reflect upon. And we should reflect, all of us actually. Higher education institutions will have freedom to offer different designs of master's program. For some, you will have to offer 2-year master's program. You will have to continue with that. And for some who would be graduating with the 4-year undergraduate degree, you will have to offer 1-year master's program. I mean, now we will have different kinds of master's program, 1-year master's program, 2 years master program, and 5 years integrated program. We have talked about the discontinuation of the MPhil. We have said that each higher education institutions will have to develop institutional development plan. What would be the implication of that? What the institutional development plan should contain? And if we are given the responsibility of developing the IDP for our own institution, what should be the different sections in that document? How can we have a futuristic how can we give futuristic orientation to our IDP, which will be with us at least, I mean, if you see it in terms of short-term program for 365 days, for medium-term goals for 5-year program, or for long-term goal for 10-year program. Similarly, we'll have to have an academic bank of credit, which will be established, and it would be storing the credits earned from various higher education institutions in the digital form. What would be the implications? Would X institution accept the credits earned by a student from Y institution? What would be the implication? How are they going to sign the memorandum of understanding amongst themselves? The policy has talked about the choice-based credit system, and it has said that the choice-based credit system will be revised for instilling innovation and flexibility, and that the higher education institutions will move to a criterion-based grading system. Now, criterion-based grading system, what do we mean by that, and what would be its implication, and what kind of preparations would we require to prepare the criterion reference test? Policy has also said that assessment of students' achievement will be based on learning outcomes, and it would be made fairer and more comparable. Higher education institutions shall move away from high-stakes examinations towards more continuous and comprehensive evaluation. It has focused on both formative assessment and summative assessment at the same time. The responsibility of conducting high-stakes examination is given to the National Testing Agency. What should be the form of the National Testing Agency? Should it be coming up with the standardized achievement tests? Should it be conducting the entrance examinations the way they are conducting it today? What kind of preparations is required to develop the standardized achievement tests like the Educational Testing Service, Princeton, or the American College Testing Programs, or other international agencies are doing? I think we need to learn a great deal from that. Policy has also laid greater emphasis on the massification of higher education. Enrollment continues to take a dip at each level. We have different kinds of problems. If the transition rates from the primary sector to the upper primary sector, and from upper primary to the secondary, and from secondary to post-secondary continue to decline, how are we going to handle it? Can we handle it alone in the sector of higher education, or we need to provide a helping hand to the school education for the purposes of improving the transition rates so that we can get more number of students in the higher education sector? I mean, there are huge implications. And unfortunately, the universities and colleges think that they do not have any responsibility towards school education because that is a different sector. Unfortunately, in our country, I mean, the three sectors, the elementary education sector, the secondary sector, and the post-secondary sector, all of them are working in isolation. You may like to think, how can each sector help each other? There's a persistent concern to increasing access to higher education since independence. The gross enrollment ratio in early 60s was abysmally low. We were only at the level of hardly 2% of the youth in the age group of 18 to 23 were going for higher education. But today, I mean, we have 27%. But achieving the goal of 50% gross enrollment ratio is a good destination to cover, and I think it would not be difficult to achieve through different modes of delivery. If we use the conventional mode of delivery, I mean the ODL mode of delivery, if we use the massive open online courses mode of delivery, I think we can achieve this access to higher education easily within the span of within the time limit that is prescribed in this. The policy has underlined the significance of the open and distance learning by stating that all types of institutions could offer ODL program, but there is a caveat there, and the caveat is that provided they are specifically accredited to do so. So each institution which would wish to offer the ODL program will have to get accredited itself specifically for offering the ODL program. The National Education Technology Forum, the policy has talked about it, which will be created for free exchange of ideas on the use of technology to enhance learning, planning, and administration. But insofar as the use of ICT is concerned, though we have been emphasizing on it for quite some time, but different institutions are at a different level. I hope that once we have this National Educational Technology Forum in place, it will articulate new direction for research and innovation. There will be greater focus on the development of e-content, and institutions will be using the blended mode of teaching and learning. Policy has talked about the establishment of the virtual labs. I talked about you that this is a worldwide trend, actually, virtual reality, but it will require a lot of human and material resources. About internationalization, in the policy, we have said that all higher educational institutions will have to set up international student office. How pragmatic would it be? And are our institutions, what kind of preparations our institutions should make to attract the international students in terms of the programmatic changes, in terms of structural changes, and in terms of creating a very conducive ambience, I mean, for the international students. We have also talked about the entry of the foreign educational institutions. Now, what kind of legislative framework is required to attract the top performing international institutions of higher learning in India? We have also talked about the Indian institutions going offshore and setting up campuses there. Now, what kind of preparation are we going to make for that? Because the past experience is not very encouraging. We have not been able to attract nor able to set up offshore institutions. There are very few, some private players have set up some institutions. Policy has laid greater emphasis on skilling, actually, and it has rightly recommended that at least 50% of students through both school education and higher education should go in for vocational program by 2025. And that vocational education will be integrated into all educational institutions in a phased manner. Vocational education has not been a success story for a variety of reasons. I don't have time to reflect on all those reasons. There are 7 major reasons which one can think of about its acceptability, about the vertical openings that we have provided in our system. We did not have vertical opening in vocational education in the higher education sector. If a student has opted for the vocational program at a school stage, her education will come to a grinding halt because there was no opening available until 2013. It was only in 2013 when the University Grants Commission institutionalized the vocational degree. in the sector of higher education. So we have in the policy, we have talked a lot about the integration of values and ethics. I mean, for the purposes of creating good human beings. Values have always been central to education, but now they need to move from implicit aspirations to explicit goals, actually. Values and ethics are intertwined, but they are distinctly different. Values are personal, actually, but ethics are not personal. You cannot compromise on ethics, actually. You have professional, I mean, professional ethics can never, ever be compromised. That is the distinction between the two, but they are intertwined. Values need to be promoted through education and not through sermons, actually. We have a myth in our society. We think that values can be integrated only in humanities and social sciences and languages, and that values cannot be integrated in physical sciences, exact sciences, mathematics. It's a myth, actually. What is needed is that we need to identify some such sports of learning in every domain of knowledge where values based on universal perception, like honesty, integrity, truth, perseverance, etc., etc., and values based on constitutional imperatives, like promotion of composite culture in the country, like preservation of natural resources, including lakes, rivers, ponds, and wildlife, like respect for the ideals of freedom struggle. They could be integrated. So each one of us has this duty to identify some such sports of learning where these values based on universal perception and values based on constitutional imperatives could be integrated if we really wish to create good human beings through our institutions. Insofar as the teacher education is concerned, the policy has said that we will have the 4-year integrated program. The policy has also said that we will also continue with the 2-year B.Ed program. Policy has also said that in specialized subjects, we shall also have a provision of 1-year degree program. Now you will have to think about the implication of such an intent of the policy, that in an institution, which would be multidisciplinary institution, you will be having a 4-year integrated bachelor program in education, 2-year program, 1-year program. I mean, how will it work? Multidisciplinary institutions offering 4-year program, having accreditation for ODL program, may also offer high quality B.Ed program in blended mode. And then it talks about the spatial shorter programs also. Research seems to have caught up the right attention of the policy. And the policy has said that we are going to set up National Research Foundation, which will be financing the programs on competitive basis. This is a very good thing. But how much are we spending on research and development in terms of percentage of the GDP? I think we are spending only 0.65 or 66% of the GDP as against, 2.89% of the United States of America. And there are also countries which are spending in the range of 3 to 5% of their GDP on research and development. How are we going to compete with them? The size of the GDP also varies from country to country, so it needs to be interpreted in that context. But setting up of the National Research Foundation to fund competitive peer-reviewed grant proposal is a very welcome move. Policy has also talked about, on the one hand, it has said that we will have only 3 sets of institutions: research-intensive university, teaching-intensive universities, and autonomous colleges with degree granting powers. But it has also talked, interestingly, about the Meru University, Model Public Universities for Liberal Education, at par with IITs, called Meru. But the contours of this Meru are not clear in the policy. Why can't we initiate action to ensure that all universities conform to the visualized model of the model educational research university actually. In the regulatory mechanism, regulation, provision of education, funding, accreditation, and academic standard setting will be performed by distinct, independent, and empowered bodies. This is a very good thing actually. We'll have a common regulatory regime for the entire higher education sector. System will treat both public and private institutions at par. This is also a very welcome move. And we will have now the Higher Education Commission of India, which will be an umbrella institution with 4 verticals. And these 4 verticals are going to be in the form of the councils actually. We'll have the General Education Council, which will be given the which will be entrusted with the responsibility of setting standards. We'll have the National Accreditation Council, which will be a meta accrediting agency. It will be providing licenses to the regional accrediting bodies. And it has been visualized because we have a large system, and the NAC alone or the NBA alone, they are not in the position to accredit all the higher educational institutions in a time-bound manner. So which is why we have proposed in the policy to have the National Accreditation Council as a meta accrediting body. We'll have Higher Education Grants Council, which will be disbursing the federal grants to different institutions. And we will have a National Higher Educational Regulatory Council. So these 4 are going to be the verticals of the Higher Education Commission of India. Efforts will be made to harmonize amongst the activities, etc. Interestingly, the policy has also talked about the establishment of the Board of Governors. And the Board of Governors will be empowered to govern the institution. Even the selection of the head of the institution will be done by the Board of Governors. So what would be the implications of having the Board of Governors the way it has been visualized in the policy? I would want you to reflect on that aspect because it is going to affect each one of you. Insofar as the financing of higher education sector is concerned, this is a very big challenge for us. 20% of all public expenditure will be committed over a 10-year period. And the policy has said that center and the states together to spend 6% of GDP on education as early as possible. I would like to say that we have been talking about this 6% expenditure, public expenditure on education since 1966 when the Kothari Commission report was submitted to the federal government. And until this day, we have not been able to reach this target. Kothari has recommended this in 1966 when the size and shape of the education sector was very small actually. Today, we have a very gigantic system of school education and a very gigantic system of higher education. I think the time has come when the government should take it very seriously and set up a new committee to look into the quantum of resources required for this size of sector and then make serious efforts to provide those kinds of resources from the central pool and also from the state pools. The policy has also talked about the merit-based tenure track promotion and salary structure with multiple salary levels. Now, this will affect each one of you. So you should see what should be the accountability, the maintenance of professional growth, and how are we going to establish the contours of that tenure track system of higher education. Policy has also underscored the value of public spirited private institutions with commitment to high quality education. Promotion of private enterprises in higher education to support the efforts of the government is the need of the hour. One cannot deny that. And if you look at the earlier phase of higher education, the high quality higher education has come through private initiatives, be it in the form of BHU or Vishwa Bharati or Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, or Aligarh Muslim University. They were all private initiatives actually. And those institutions have produced very outstanding civil servants, surgeons and engineers and political leaders actually. It has also talked about curbing of commercialization in higher education. Now the question is that what should be the starting point? We need to develop an action plan through mutual understanding. And while some of the reform measures may be undertaken concomitantly, others, especially regulatory reforms, would require a particular sequence, since they are so interconnected that one is going to be the key enabler to another reform. And therefore, what we need to do that for the purposes of implementing the national education policy, we should look into all the recommendations or intents of the national education policy and classify those recommendations into three categories. We should identify some such recommendations which can be carried out at the institutional level. We already have an apparatus in place. Now, what kind of changes those existing apparatuses would require, I think we should look at it at the institutional level and we should start working on them. We also need to develop some new instruments for the purposes of improving the quality of higher education. I think we need to identify such recommendations and we should do it collegially and collaboratively, because that is not the concern of only an individual institution, it is the concern of the nation state. And then the third category of recommendations we should look up, which would require a regulatory framework, which will require legislative framework. And therefore, that should be taken up either at the state level if it is required, if the action is required to be taken at the state level, or at the national level if the action is required to be undertaken at the national level. So what we need to do is that we need to identify tasks for different agencies. For instance, if you have to come up with an IDP, institutional development plan, that has to be done by the individual institution. If you have to classify these universities into research universities, teaching universities, and autonomous colleges, I mean, we need to have expert committee. Multidisciplinary UG, PG, education of varying duration, curricular updating that can be done by the individual institution. Now, the setting up of academic bank of credit, National Higher Education Regulatory Council, that such things are to be done at the level of the Ministry of Education. Revision of the choice-based credit system, I think that is either to be done at the level of the university, individual university, or at the level of the autonomous college if you are an autonomous institution. Criterion-based grading system, that is to be done by the General Education Council. It should be provided for in the National Higher Education Qualification Framework so that we have parity of standards across the institutions. Now, increase in enrollment through ODL, online, virtual labs, etc. That can be done at the individual level. Internationalization, similarly, skilling through skilling sectors, revision of National Skill Qualification Framework from grade 6 to, that is to be done by both the ministries actually. Integration of values and ethics by individual institutions. So the point that I am trying to make is that we need to look into all these 21 aspects, which are the major aspects I have highlighted in national education policy. And we need to identify what could be done at the individual level, at the institutional level, at the state level, and at the national level. I would earnestly request each one of you to identify a role for yourself in the implementation of national education policy. If you start writing articles on the implications of these intents of the policy, you will be playing a very critical role at your own level. If you find a role to develop the IDP for your institution, you will be playing a very critical role at the institutional level. But if you are very good in curriculum development, you will be playing a very good role at the university level or at the state level. Or if you have a very fine mind and you can contribute in the development of the national higher education qualification framework, if you can come up with the subject-specific benchmarking of learning outcomes, you can play a very significant role at the national level. So like that, I would request you to identify a role for yourself and make the most out of this opportunity. Don't consider it a quiet document and don't sit on it idly actually. You should find a role for yourself and make a significant contribution. We can be at our best if we work openly, collegially, and collectively. This is what I think. And there is an urgent need for curricular and pedagogical reforms at all stages of education, let alone talk of the higher education. There has to be a curricular shift from routine development of cognitive skills to higher order critical thinking, problem solving, and entrepreneurial abilities. These are the abilities which are required in the modern world. And they are unfortunately not explicitly mentioned in our curricular provisions. We presume that the analytical ability, the entrepreneurial ability, the problem solving ability, critical thinking ability will automatically be developed. They do get developed. I'm not undermining that. But they should find an explicit place in our existing curricular provisions, and for which I would earnestly request you to revisit your existing curricular provision and see to it. In order to avoid duplication of efforts, such exercises can be undertaken collectively across the institutions. If we are 5 institutions in a particular city or in a particular region, all those 5 institutions can collaborate and learn from each other and help each other. If it is done, then students from anywhere can have access to quality education. And while universities need to launch a massive operation to develop online educational resources, governments also need to scale up broadband connectivity and support disadvantaged groups. And tech companies need to help institutions to create digital platforms actually. We must set up a task force at institutional level, at the state level, and at the national level. But I would want to close by saying that we must, what we should do at our level is that we should undertake a critical analysis of each sector. Where do we stand vis-a-vis others? And since we are not starting from scratch, we should look into the activities which have worked in the past and activities and efforts which have not worked in the past. And then the third step should be that where do we want to see ourselves in 365 days from hence, or 5 years from hence, or from 10 years from hence. This is how you are going to develop your IDP. And then collectively, you must decide what should be the guiding principles when you move forward to realize the goals that you set for yourself. Policy has reiterated a number of important recommendations made in the past without looking into the reasons for their non-implementation. I think we must investigate those reasons. Endorsement and reiteration should not become a trend with the policy formulation. This requires now practical strategies in order that reiteration in 2020 do not again lead to further extension of time for these policy statements. We have set certain timelines also in the policy that we are going to achieve 50% gross enrollment ratio by 2035, that we are going to develop the IDP within a period of 2 years or 3 years. So based on that critical analysis, we must develop an action plan for the implementation of national education policy. And we must reflect on all such concerns which has thwarted our efforts in the past. So this is all I thought that I would like to share with you. I'm done now. I have not talked about the implications. I have left it for you, and I have said it more than twice in my address that you would come forward and write those implications. But if you have any questions, I would now take the questions from you. So over to Professor Bimal now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for this. Not
I have
only
specifically, I have,
NEP, but,
I have specifically shared with you the global trends so that you can know where do we stand in terms of other nation states, and what is that we have taken care of in our national education policy, and what still remains to be taken care of. One can have a good idea by looking at the international trends in higher education. So, which is why, I mean, I focused on that part. I wanted to do that in the later part of my address, but Professor Bimal has insisted that I should take that first and then reflect on the national education policy. I have conceded to her appeal.
thank you, sir. I think it really
Over to
is
you.
useful because knowing the global requirements and the trends that how they are moving ahead, whether it is in terms of skill education or it is in terms of inclusivity and the various technological changes. So I think our NEP, when you focus, it is very much aligned to the global needs. That is, I think, one takeaway which all our colleagues can take. And further questions, I will like, please, if you have any question, you can either text or you can unmute. We can have a couple of questions. I'll request my team, Shrutika, to make a provision of unmuting everyone. Then they can, yeah. You can raise your hands. Yes, any questions?
If there are no questions, I will presume that my lecture has gone very well and I will be very happy.
No, that is definitely the way. But, sir, I think Shikha has written that, sir, I understand every student is different. This is my practical experience that many students who think out of the box and innovate are innovative, don't believe in rote learning and writing exams. How to counsel them and handle this issue, sir? Acha, this question. Okay, I think, yeah, please, if you like to comment on this.
As teachers, actually, this is our responsibility to identify the students who are the dynamic learners, who are analytic learners, and who are common sense learners. And accordingly, when it comes to assigning the individual tasks or the group tasks, we should form groups accordingly and handle that. This is an art which each teacher needs to learn. But what we unfortunately do is that we never ever make an attempt to identify students according to their learning style, learning pattern, and according to their abilities. And then we have to make different permutations and combinations. I would not say that all the analytical students or all the dynamic students or all the problem solving students should be separated from the entire group. I think we need to think through depending upon the nature of the course content, and accordingly we should assign tasks to them. Those tasks could be project in the form of project, home assignments, quizzes, in a variety of ways you can think, and that is what is needed. I mean, in particularly in a heterogeneous group. And this heterogeneity is going to increase more and more as we are going to increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, which is why we should, I have talked about the diversification of campuses, not only in terms of students and teachers, but also in terms of curricular provisions. So this is a big challenge actually, and we have to handle it. So we have to be very, very innovative. A little while ago, I mean, Professor Bimal was sharing her own experience with me, and and I was deeply impressed actually the way she is giving assignments, the way she is examining her own students. Probably she herself would like to share those experiences with you, and they will be very helpful. So we need to learn the art of identifying students according to their learning needs and according to their learning styles, and form different groups.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
I think Shashmita, you can ask, please. Shashmita Panda, please.
Good evening, sir. I am teaching chemistry in the college level PG students. Just I want to say my views regarding this NEP. There is low light, that's why my face is not that much visible. Actually, what is happening, the practical thing is, sir, it is utmost necessary to redesign the curriculum as per the recent trends of research that is going out around the world. And if we look at implementing the things, then the practical problem is the infrastructure, lack of infrastructure, lack of technical knowledge, lack of the equipments in the laboratory, and many things are there. So, just in that case, how far will this NEP be successful at this present scenario? This is my means. I really doubt it, sir. It is really very difficult to manage the classes with all the academics that is going on, and mostly what I feel that paperwork has increased because of all this, that IQSC and all. The paperwork has increased, but actual teaching learning, it has decreased to a means maximum level.
My answer to that would be that under the prevailing circumstances, what best can you do? I mean, that should be the motto of each one of us. These problems will remain there. You will never ever have ideal situation in teaching and learning. You will neither have ideal teachers, you will need nor you will have ideal students, nor you will have ideal facilities. I mean, but you see, the countries which are ruling the roost today, which are leading the world, they have also faced similar kind of situations. And if you go to the elitist institutions of higher learning in the world, you would find faculty members lamenting about the facilities available there, infrastructure, resources. They are having outstanding these things, but they still need more. So this situation will remain there. One should not get frustrated because of the inadequacies of the system. What best can you do under the prevailing circumstances? I think that should be our effort. Parity of standards across the institutions will continue to be a major concern. Disparity in terms of infrastructure, in terms of resources will continue to be a problem. I think in our lifetimes or in your lifetime, I'm not counting myself, I have very little time, but in one's lifetime, you will find it extremely difficult to overcome all these issues. These issues will remain there. But what best can you do? I mean, you should think in those terms and contribute. That is the only answer, actually.
Thank you, sir.
These
I
variations will
request,
remain.
yeah, person joined with A, sir. Please, all of you, please rename yourself with proper name.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good evening, ma'am.
yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Sir, you have clearly explained global scenario within 1.5 hours.
Mhm.
Sir, as far as global scenario is concerned, we are all talking about the sustainable developmental goals.
Mhm.
So we have a deadline to achieve the sustainable development soon.
Yeah.
So what is the role of NEP in achieving the sustainable development goals, sir? Please comment on this.
I mean, the policy has provided a way out actually in order to realizing those 17 sustainable goals actually.
Yes, sir.
And for instance, let me give one example. Providing access to quality education at all levels is one of the sustainable goals, isn't it?
Yes, yes, sir.
And
SDG 4.
that, huh?
It is SDG 4, fourth one.
Yeah. I was coming to that. Okay, so that is one of the sustainable goals actually. So like this, we have 17 sustainable goals, and it is presumed that quality is the means of achieving all those goals. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and if and quality is as I have said, that it is a multi-level, multi-complex, multi-dimensional concept. Okay,
Yes,
it
sir.
it it would vary from institution to institution, from region to region, from country to country. So the policy has given the direction, and that is the purpose of the policy. Now it is for us to design appropriate tools to realize those goals actually. It is for us to look into our existing curricular provisions. It is for us to look into the profiles of the students that are coming. It is for us to create those kinds of infrastructural facilities through which we can bring about qualitative improvement in education. So policy has given you a framework, and that is the purpose of the policy actually, which is why I said that policy is a statement of intent. So that intent is specifically clarified. And now it all depends. How do you tighten your belt? How do you mobilize your resources? And how you come forward and commit yourself as an important individual in the fraternity of the higher education sector, and do your duty well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
How you play the role of model teacher actually, an ideal teacher, so that you can be um, you can show the light to others, and you can become a model for yourself under the prevailing circumstances.
Okay,
Don't
sir.
wait to get all the facilities at your command. They will never ever be the reality. That will not be the reality actually.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
The last question will take.
And remember C.V. Raman, who got the Nobel Prize, under what conditions actually? He improvised an instrument by spending 137 rupees out of his pocket.
Yes, sir.
And he was an accountant, basically in a patent office in Calcutta. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And large number of people have done wonders under the trying conditions. Don't forget Marie Curie actually. Under what conditions she crystallized radium and polonium actually, isn't it?
Yes,
She
sir.
did not.
Yes.
She did not
Yes.
have a proper lab.
Yes, sir.
She was doing her work in a shanty where there was no ventilation, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you can do wonders even in difficult situations under trying conditions, provided you have a passion.
Yeah, definitely, sir.
You have an obsession actually. I will give you a bad example though, like Napoleon Bonaparte. I mean, he was responsible for the killing of a large number of people in the Western world. But look at his passion. He would never ever sit at home. He would always be in the battle. He would always be in the battlefield. That's a bad example, though. But you need to do something. You need passion.
Passion, right, sir.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. And last question from Ayushi. Others, please, I think we'll have more sessions from Pacific Africa, sir, so we can take it further. Ayushi, yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for the session. Apologies for making the session extended because of my question. But, sir, my question is, for instance, I am working in a college right now, and because of the new education policy, the syllabus was changed, the syllabi was changed. So I have been a student of honors, and I feel the course that was then, or the syllabi that was then before NEP, it was very, very, very comprehensive, and it helped us set us apart from the students who are doing a general BA, that bachelor's that is there. So there was the sense to it. But now what I feel is because of the introduction of NEP and the syllabi, the current syllabi that is there, it has reduced the level, and it has, because of that, maybe because I am a student of literature, that could be also be the reason. I feel a bit more emotionally or sentimentally. But what I feel is the essence of the true literature that was there. Many of the texts that have shortened down, they have that have cut down, sir. So I feel that, is it not unjust to being a student of literature and cutting it down in everything? And in that, what is happening is the competition that they are going to face in the future. Let's take an example of NET that is there. It's very, very comprehensive, and you have to be well read. So what happens when you are reading, or when you are studying during your undergraduate years, is that you unconsciously are getting prepared. An honors student, they get an edge over the students from bachelors. They get an edge. So is it not, is it not unjust for them?
I appreciate your concern, but as a science student, what I would say is that if I am to teach 27 concepts, and if I'm not able to teach them very well, and if I teach 15 of them so very well that the rest of the concepts can be taken care of to some extent by the students on their own, I would prefer that. So whatever is left for you to teach it well. And literature is a subject, actually. One can, once you teach them the art of learning, actually, probably they can take care of that very well. So I would say that you should not get disheartened and that the scope is reduced, but whatever scope is there, if you can take care of that in its entirety and do it very well, I think you will be doing justice with your profession. So don't get disheartened. Or what you can do is that you can take up this issue with the curriculum development group of your university or your institution, and make your point and get it revised, because we can always add or we can always delete the contours of our program, depending upon their relevance and depending upon the feasibility, actually. So that you should take care of. And when you are talking about a particular discipline, actually, and if you are in an institution wherein you are one of the team members, I think many a time we also try to strike a balance across the disciplines. We cannot load too much in a particular domain of knowledge and neglect the other domains of knowledge. So in order to striking a balance, we have to think it at the institutions level. I mean, overall thing we have to keep in our mind. So many a time you, because of those compulsions, you reduce or you cut short some of the parameters of your course content.
Sir, I will like
Teach
to add another perspective here.
them
Is,
well.
I think I'll request all my colleagues here. Why are you looking that every student in our class will become like us teaching in college? Please leave that. We have to see that these students are a mixed lot. They will go to so many different professions. And we have to do that justice at this undergraduate level. At PG level, those who are coming, they can take those specialized areas and go in depth. And another thing in the curriculum designing is 11th, 12th, and then at graduation level, there is so much overlapping happening. Rightly said by Professor Vedprakash sir that the school education and the higher education, they are not talking to each other. We don't have understanding what the student is already coming with the knowledge and what we have to add up. It has to be continuum for the student. So that has, and one more thing I will request all of you is look at where your students are getting placed. That subject, where all they are getting, those are the skill type of courses that you'll have to add. And that is what is the NEP, because when you're adding, it's not that you retain everything, you have to reduce on that. And as sir mentioned, that thoda padhao, but itna achhi tarah padhao, so that the left, we have the concept of lifelong learning. We have to prepare the students toward. So we have to change our mindset. This is what is the main problem in the curriculum framing which is coming. NEP we are taking the additional part, but we are not letting go away the older part. So look from the learner's point of view. Look from their needs, not what our needs are. That we are comfortable in teaching this, so we will be keeping on teaching this. So I think that's the entire challenge that we have in front of us. So I don't think we'll be able to take more questions. We are already running late, being the first day with some additional points also being shared with you. So thank you so much, Professor Vedprakash sir, for taking time, and that too so early in the morning. And we are always looking for your guidance and mentoring. And we are so blessed to have your guidance and these sessions for all of our colleagues to be knowing more of the sea of wisdom that you have. We like to take some drops from there. So thank you so much. Today's both sessions have been really enlightening. Professor Bakshi sir and Professor Vedprakash, I'll thank both of them. And all my team members, I can see Anuja here, Babita, Sarita was there, many others, and all my colleagues. So I think it's a good start that we all have made. Be motivated, keep on getting more. So we'll be having more sessions lined up. Tomorrow we'll be focusing on the research and development part, and then we'll be taking more modules. So with these words, and I'm sorry, those who has, I think you have logged in with Samsung SM, please rename. I could not take your question today, but you can text, and in the feedback also you can write. So wherever appropriate, we'll take these your inputs and take it further. So with these words, thank you everyone. Have a good day, sir. It's you are in the morning part and we are in the late evening part. And to rest of my colleagues, have a good evening. Further, whichever is left, and do have a good dinner with your family. Enjoy the remaining part and do your work very sincerely in the morning half. And tomorrow at 5 p.m. we will be meeting again for the exciting 2 more sessions in this NEP sensitization and orientation program. So thank you everyone. Namaskar and keep smiling. We'll be meeting you tomorrow 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and wish all of you all the very best and great good luck. Okay, good night.
Next.